Chapter 1408. What's going on? Dachira was a little confused. Night Sorrow pulled Dachira into a tea house and found a quiet private room. Then, he used energy to set up a barrier. Then, he explained the reason to Dachira. Night Sorrow had two spatial treasures in his body, the space-time treasure pagoda and the dragon cauldron. Moreover, they both had artifact spirits. The two artifact spirits were very familiar with each other. At this moment, the dragon cauldron in Night Sorrow's clone told Night Sorrow that it had sensed an aura of the same origin as Shao Kong. Night Sorrow asked the dragon cauldron's artifact spirit to confirm again and again. The dragon cauldron told Night Sorrow that it was correct. Although there was a slight difference in aura, the mysterious aura was correct. What's going on? Isn't your main body using the space-time treasure pagoda? Dachira looked at Night Sorrow and asked. That's right. I can confirm that the space-time treasure pagoda is with my main body. What does this mean? It means that the missing part of the space-time treasure pagoda that I've been searching for is here, in Fortune City. Night Sorrow was a little agitated because his train of thought in the profound heaven world was not right. Could it be the Fortune Immortal Pavilion? Dachira also stood up. It's hard to say. I can confirm that the thing is here. Let's search for it first. If we can confirm what it is, it would be best if we can find it. Night Sorrow said. There might be some heavenly Tao artifacts in the Great Thousand Worlds, but very few possess them. Currently, Night Sorrow had only heard of them a few times. In the Heaven and Earth Pavilion of the Black-Yellow Great World, he heard the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World say that there was a heavenly Tao artifact in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. However, countless years had passed and no one had been able to obtain it. Also, why was Heavenly Lord Shenhu so strong? Why was he able to fight Dachira, who had a high cultivation level, refined the soul cultivation liquid, and cultivated the not-leaking true body? It was because he had a heavenly Tao artifact, a soul-defensive heavenly Tao artifact. The space-time pagoda was a divine artifact of the heavenly Tao, but it was damaged. Currently, it was only a support artifact. Night Sorrow naturally wanted to restore it. Night Sorrow and Dachira slowly approached a certain direction under the guidance of the Dragon Cauldron's weapon spirit. After passing through the Fortune City Central District, Huang Xiaolong arrived at the Eastern District. After walking for a while, Night Sorrow saw a wild garden. However, he stopped in his tracks. Night Sorrow discovered that there was a large array here, a very high-level array. In addition, the Dragon Cauldron could sense that the Qi was nearby, but because of the array, it was unable to determine the location. Even though Night Sorrow was unwilling, he knew that he could only retreat. The array could be broken, but it would cause a huge commotion, and it could only be done when the Fortune Gate was annihilated. Night Sorrow pulled the confused Dachira away. The two of them left the area and returned to the tea house where they had been chatting. Why did you stop? That array can't stop you. We'll kill whoever tries to stop us. Dachira said. It's not appropriate, that would alert the enemy. If the other side is alerted, it will be very troublesome. We can't act rashly, and if we do, we must kill with one strike. Night Sorrow said. Dachira thought for a moment and nodded. She knew that they could not act rashly, because the missing part of the heavenly Tao artifact was too important. Everything here is in order. Looks like the Fortune Gate will fight to the end. The news we spread did not affect this place at all. Let's go back. There's no need to continue watching. Night Sorrow did not intend to stay any longer. His purpose in coming here was to see the Fortune Gate situation, and he had already seen it clearly. On top of that, he also had a big harvest. He had been searching for the missing part of the space-time pagoda for a long time. Night Sorrow and Dachira did not take the transmission array, and instead, they left the city by the same route. The Bufong true body could conceal his presence from a distance, but it would not work if he was too close. Night Sorrow and Dachira did not take the transmission array because there was a high possibility that Bai Taesong's avatar was guarding the area around the transmission array, and there was a possibility that they would be discovered if they appeared. After leaving the Fortune City, Night Sorrow set up a transmission array in a secluded area. The two of them used the transmission array to return to the Blue Eagle Mountain, and arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and said, I really didn't expect to find something like this. You've been searching for so long, it's about time for you to appear. Actually, We can gather our forces and kill our way over to find the item. Datura said. She was an impatient person. No, the overall situation of the World War is very important. Let's wait for news from the River West Dynasty first. After dealing with the River West Dynasty, only the Zhongling Manor is left. You and I have both seen that the Zhongling Manor is in a mess right now. As long as we kill the River West King, the Zhongling Manor will collapse on its own, and only the Fortune Gate and the Zhanwu Dynasty will be left. Although Knight Sorrow was very anxious, he still had the upper hand in his heart, and did not plan to search for the Fortune Gate immediately. Datura nodded. She was anxious for Knight Sorrow, but she also understood that Knight Sorrow's thoughts were right, and his decision was also correct. Knight Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Datura, and told Datura that when attacking the Fortune Gate, only their own people could do it. Otherwise, it would be difficult to distribute the spoils of war. He did not want to take advantage of the alliance, and he also had to put this matter on the table. We have enough people on our side to destroy the Fortune Gate. This matter can also be said clearly, because the Fortune Gate is destined to be yours. Don't bring this matter up in the future, or you will have a bad reputation. Datura said. Yes, the Heavenly Tao artifact is very important to everyone. Although those big shots are very rational, if they have any thoughts in their hearts, they will not be harmonious. Knight Sorrow was also worried because this was not an ordinary material resource. Let's talk to them later. We can't let go of this matter. Datura said. All right, I will not ask the Alliance to help because this is my own matter. Knight Sorrow stood up and led Datura to the big tent at the side of the camp. The two of you are back. Have a cup of tea first. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang stood up and poured tea for Knight Sorrow and Datura. Knight Sorrow looked at the big shots in the tent and explained the situation of the Zhongling Manor and Fortune Gate. The Fortune Gate is also going. It is very dangerous. Qing Emperor's eyes were filled with worry because Fortune Gate Heavenly Monarch by Taesong was very strong, and was different from West River Heavenly Monarch. The Fortune Gate is preparing for war, and they will not reconcile. Knight Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. So what? If they can't reconcile, then kill. They are the ones who started the World War, so we will beat them until they are convinced. Li Tianba's words were very direct. There is another thing that I want to tell everyone here today. Knight Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. What is it? Heavenly Monarch Yuan Dao nodded at Knight Sorrow. The Heavenly Tao artifact that I have is incomplete, and everyone knows that. I found another part during this trip, and I will think of a way to get it back. This cannot be counted in the Alliance's resources, so I hope everyone can understand. Knight Sorrow said directly. Then, Sandalwood looked at Knight Sorrow and made a decision. As a senior brother, he would help Knight Sorrow in battle. Speak. The fourth update has arrived. Today's update has been completed. Recently, my condition is not good, and I can only write one chapter after sitting in front of the computer for 4 to 5 hours. Please understand. Chapter 1409. Unseal? Don't worry, Master's wife and Master will also help you solve this problem. Misty Rain said. Knight Sorrow, you're thinking too much. You have a part of the Heavenly Tao artifact, which means that you already have a fortuitous encounter. This time you discovered something that was predestined. We won't have any other thoughts, and neither will I. When we fight, it's just a matter of convenience. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch said. That's right, you're thinking too much. You told us the truth, which means that you trust us. How can we betray your trust? Declare war on the Fortune Gate and solve this matter directly. We can do it at any time. Red Emperor nodded. Subsequently, everyone expressed their support. Then Knight Sorrow won't be polite. After this matter is settled, there will be great rewards. Knight Sorrow said. We have to work harder. After so many years, Knight Sorrow already has the Heavenly Tao artifact, but we don't. Didn't Heavenly Monarch God Tiger have the Heavenly Tao artifact? Next time, don't let Datura fight alone. Let's go together, chop him up, snatch his Heavenly Tao artifact, and then draw lots. Whoever has the best luck will get the Heavenly Tao artifact. Li Tianba said while rubbing his hands. You've never had any good opinions, but this time, I agree. Red Emperor said. Sure, We're all life forms from the world of reincarnation. Because we're about to win the world war, we're all blessed with luck. Maybe someone's luck has reached a critical point, and they have the luck to obtain the heavenly Tao artifact. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. Everyone nodded. If there was a chance, everyone would try to grab it. If they couldn't grab it, then it was fine. If they could grab it, then their fates would change. Sima Tiancheng suggested drinking wine to celebrate. Although the heavenly Tao artifact wasn't completely in their hands, it would be easy to take down the fortune gate with so many overlords. After celebrating, Knight Sorrow returned to his tent, followed by Datura. Aluo, I feel that something is not right. You said that we are attacking one by one. The Shenwu Great World is very clear about this. Even if we are not united and are fighting for ourselves, the Zhanwu dynasty should not be so quiet. No, follow me. Knight Sorrow had always felt that something was not right. Now, he knew where the problem lay. Knight Sorrow and Datura once again returned to the Sky Pillar Tycoon's tent. Knight Sorrow, why are you back? Misty Rain asked. Master, you gave the order to close the transmission array in the Samsara city. Now they are passively being attacked in the Shenwu Great World. It is impossible for them not to take action. If they are determined to find our station, they will definitely find it. Not to mention the fortune teller, they can even turn it upside down. But they didn't do so. Of course, they are not willing to fight to the death with us. Then there may be another reason. That is, they may have taken action in the Samsara world and forced us to drink. The realm war is over. Knight Sorrow said his speculation. Yes, we have closed the transmission array in the Shenwu Great World. They don't have a transmission array in the Samsara world, but they can use the transmission array in the Xuanhuan Great World. Datura's expression also changed. You guys talk first. I will go back and solve the problem. I will come back soon. Qing Emperor got up and left. This is my negligence. I hope it is not too late. Knight Sorrow said. If the Shenwu Great World took action against the Samsara world, it would be difficult to defend. Not to mention other things, even if a few sky pillars went to the Samsara world to kill, the Samsara world would not be able to withstand it. This is unexpected. Looking at the situation, maybe they did not have time to make such arrangements. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He also hoped that this was the case. Recently, it was quiet. The Shenwu Great World had been suppressed. It should not be like this. If it was him, he would also think of a strategy. Not good. Qing Emperor sent me a message. There is a battle. Misty Rain stood up. A battle? At this time, everyone in the command tent stood up and went to the transmission array. The transmission array teleported them to Black Demon City. After another turn, they arrived at Samsara City. The battle had already started in Samsara City. It was two sky pillars attacking the Qing Emperor. However, a square seal was hanging above the Qing Emperor's head. The square seal was emitting a green light, enveloping the Qing Emperor. The Qing Emperor was not at a disadvantage, even though he was 1 against 2. Surround them and kill them. Knight Sorrow shouted. These were two sky pillars. Knight Sorrow recognized that one of them was Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, the third emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty. He was the one who made things difficult for the Qing Emperor at the Zhantan wedding. With Knight Sorrow's command and the fact that it was a war, no one was polite. They attacked directly. There was no problem in killing two sky pillars. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the two were killed. However, they were not completely dead. They were just doppelgangers. When I came back and was about to take the transmission crystal, these two guys rushed out. So the battle started. If I was a step late, these two guys would have run out and started killing everywhere. We would have been in a passive position. The Qing Emperor said with some relief. Very good indeed. You came in time. Not only did you solve the problem, you also made a big profit by killing the doppelgangers of two sky pillars. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. Fortunately, if they left the transmission array and hid, we would have been in a passive position. The advantage we gained earlier would have been gone. Knight Sorrow said. Your reaction was very timely. If they really entered the Samsara world and started killing, we could only compromise. Do you think we don't care about the lives of the people in the Samsara world? None of us can do that. the world war would have ended without a conclusion. Sima Tiancheng said. Now that the world of reincarnation is stable, we can rest easy. This should be the clone of West River Heavenly Monarch. Although we didn't manage to kill their true bodies, we did manage to reduce their combat power. Now that the world of reincarnation is stable, we can focus all our energy on attacking them, said Yishan. Then, Knight Sorrow asked the guards of the transmission array. After confirming that there were no other people from the Shenwu Great World except for the fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, he felt relieved. It's understandable that they wanted to come back when the situation was unclear. Now that the situation is tilted, they want to come back again. Why do we have to let them do what they want? Misty Rain snorted. She was angry that the two sky pillars were ganging up on the Qing Emperor. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Now, all the teleportation formations leading to the outside of Reincarnation Great World are closed. It's safe. We can fight outside without worry, said Yishang. Everyone nodded. They were glad that Knight Sorrow reacted quickly. Otherwise, they would have been in a passive position. In addition, the battle may be intense. They intend to open up all over the Samsara world and negotiate with us to end the world war. Now that we have lost the qualification to do so, we must fight. We have to be careful. Our military camp must be on high alert. They may already know our location. Knight Sorrow said. Speak. First update. Chapter 14:10. Unsealed? Yes. If they want to find it, they will definitely find it. So we have to be careful. Qing Emperor nodded. Not only did the Reincarnation Great World have fortune-tellers, but also the Shenwu Great World. It was possible for them to find out the general area through divination. I've thought about this. We didn't move because I thought that after we destroyed the Martial Sacred Hall in the Poison King Valley, they wouldn't fight us head-on. Now it seems that I was too optimistic. Let's go back. Even if we don't move, we have to set up a defensive array, Knight Sorrow said. Then, Knight Sorrow and the rest teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain in the Shenwu Great World. Back at the Blue Eagle Mountain, Knight Sorrow started to set up the array. This time, not only did Knight Sorrow help, but Qing Emperor and Sima Tiancheng also helped. Both of them were advanced Heaven Adept Realm Array Masters. In a single day's time, the three great formations worked together, forming a horn formation, protecting the camp because they were worried that they would be caught off guard. Knight Sorrow didn't dig a hole and activated the array directly. At this time, in the main hall of the Zhanwu dynasty, a few powerful figures were sitting. Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger's face was ugly because his avatar had been destroyed. Asterisk 3v asterisk his avatar had been destroyed, and it was equivalent to losing his life. Of course, he could continue to cultivate avatars with his original body around. However, nurturing an avatar of the Lord of Heaven level was very harmful to the soul. Besides, it couldn't be released in a short period of time. Nurturing an avatar of the Lord of Heaven level required a lot of energy. It was also very difficult to nurture it. Even if one had the comprehension of the realm, it would take a very long time because of the huge amount of energy required. Besides, the damage to the soul was also hard to recover. We were very unlucky. When we went out, we met Qing Shangjuan. Qing Shangjuan is the city lord of the Reincarnation City and has the city lord seal. West River Lord of Heaven, and I couldn't take him down instantly. In the end, he took the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array and informed his helpers. Lord of Heaven Fierce Flame recounted what had happened. We were unlucky. In the end, we were besieged by all their powerful figures. We couldn't even run, West River Lord of Heaven said with a pale face. The plan has failed. We can't use the safety of the world of Samsara as a bargaining chip to end this realm war. Now what do you think? Heaven Lord Shen who was sitting on the main seat, said. At this moment, he was extremely frustrated. Even though his cultivation level was extremely high, he couldn't remain calm because the situation was out of his control. Big brother, from the looks of it, if nothing unexpected happens, we will lose this realm war, Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger said. In terms of the strength of our army, we are inferior to them. In terms of strength and numbers, we are also lacking. The situation is indeed very bad. Heaven Monarch Shen who nodded. He had to admit the truth. 3 sons Heavenly Monarch, Nanhua Heavenly Monarch, and Wolf King Heavenly Monarch are all cowards. They surrendered without even fighting. West River Heavenly Monarch cursed. These weaklings are really hard to deal with. According to the information from the spies, the three of them have already formed an alliance. That is to say, if we use force now, they will join forces to fight us. Heavenly Lord Shen, whose sense of helplessness was very strong. For many years, he had been able to do whatever he wanted. However, this time, he was truly stumped. Big brother, let's see what Bai Taesong has to say. Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch glared and said. Normally, they did not like Bai Taesong. Bai Taesong also did not give the Zhanwu dynasty any face. Then I will go and take a look. Also, ask our people to withdraw from the Divine Martial City. If they can't do it, let them destroy the Divine Martial City and scram. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who stood up and disappeared in a flash. Second brother, what does big brother mean? Why should we withdraw from the Divine Martial City? Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch was puzzled. At this stage of the Realm War, only the Fortune Gate, Zhongling Manor, and West River Dynasty are left. We are no longer able to fight against the reincarnation world. The outcome of the Realm War is already decided. Blazing Flame Heavenly Monarch said. Although he was unwilling to admit it, it was the truth. Let's see what Bai Taesong has to say. If he is willing to fight with us, the situation will be better. After all, the reincarnation world is not willing to fight to the death. West River Heavenly Monarch said. Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch was angry, but it was useless to be angry. The situation was unforgiving. After Night Sorrow set up the defensive array, he continued to spread out the spies. Some were to gather information, and some were to be on guard. Night Sorrow was not afraid of a battle. He was not afraid of any battle. Whether it was the army or the powerhouses, the reincarnation world had the absolute advantage. Night Sorrow realized that the light of virtue in his body was getting stronger. He knew that it was because the Realm War was going well. News kept coming back. Looking at the information, Night Sorrow was puzzled. The Zhanwu dynasty and West River dynasty had withdrawn from the Divine Martial City. As the two forces withdrew from the Divine Martial City, the Zhongling Manor also withdrew. Only the Fortune Gates people were still in the Divine Martial City. Otherwise, the Divine Martial City would be empty. Night Sorrow was puzzled. After thinking about it, he felt that the Zhanwu dynasty had given up on the Realm War after failing to launch a sneak attack on the reincarnation world. The West River dynasty was in the same boat as them. Naturally, they would withdraw as well. Night Sorrow felt that it was better to discuss with the powerhouses and see what they thought. When they reached the large tent where the Sky Pillar was resting, Yishang informed them of his arrival. Seeing no hope, they gave up on the Divine Martial City. They want us to win the Realm War and leave as soon as possible. They know that we can't occupy the Divine Martial City for long. Sima Tiancheng said. What do you all think? Night Sorrow asked. Your intentions are our intentions. The Crimson Emperor's attitude was very clear. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord and the others nodded. Since Night Sorrow was the commander, they would definitely support him. They can admit defeat, but they have to compensate us. If they don't, we will continue to fight. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. You can make the arrangements. Qing Emperor nodded. Then wait and see. When the time is right, we will attack. Do you think that Zhongling Manor is fine? Wishful thinking. We will observe their attitude for a few days. If the Zhongling Manor doesn't make a suitable statement, we will attack and wipe them out. Night Sorrow didn't like the Zhongling Manor's attitude. He wanted to play dead. If you want to fight, you have to compensate. What's the point now? If he let them go, Night Sorrow would feel sorry for the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Wolf King sect. Yes, we are the ones in charge. If they have the temper to start a realm war with the reincarnation world, they have to give us an explanation. Datura said. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you for unlocking the 4 chapters yesterday. Chapter 14:11. Unseal? I understand. Let's observe the situation for the next few days. I've also sent spies to the River West Dynasty. We'll know when the West River Heavenly Monarch returns. If there's a chance, we'll eliminate him first. He's thinking too much about causing trouble in the world of reincarnation. Knight Sorrow said. Yuan Dao, Heavenly Monarch, and the others nodded. They supported Knight Sorrow's decision. After explaining everything, Knight Sorrow left the tent and went to the barracks to take a look at the various legions. Seeing that everyone was in high spirits, Knight Sorrow felt reassured. This kind of legion could be brought to the battlefield at any time. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who arrived at the Fortune Gate. Although Bai Tai Song didn't welcome him, he still received him. This was because the upcoming situation required them to work together. After forming an alliance, Heavenly Monarch Shen, who returned to the Zhanwu dynasty. We can only defend for now. West River Heavenly Monarch, it's hard to defend the River West dynasty's territory. Bring the core members to the Martial War City and return after the storm passes. If there's any damage, the Zhanwu dynasty will support the River West dynasty's reconstruction. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who said. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who had no choice but to make this decision. The Zhanwu dynasty only had 3 heavenly monarchs. They wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of the world of reincarnation. Hence, he needed to recruit helpers. Alright. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who nodded. If the world of reincarnation attacked the River West dynasty, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Hence, Heavenly Monarch Shen, whose arrangement was suitable for him. After leaving the Zhanwu dynasty, Heavenly Monarch Shen, who arrived at River West City and began to make arrangements. He didn't know that the moment he stepped out of the transmission array, he was discovered by the furious Lin Army's spies. The spies immediately reported to Knight Sorrow. Battle! Knight Sorrow arrived at the Sky Pillar's tent and shouted. A group of people sat on the transmission array that Knight Sorrow set up outside River West City and set off. Knight Sorrow had secretly set up transmission arrays around the Divine Martial City, Martial War City, Songling Manor, Fortune City, and River West City to ensure that the battle could take place at any time. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang and Mistress Lu Xiang. Destroy the transmission array. Don't give Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu and the others a chance to help. The rest of you surround them. After exiting the transmission array, Knight Sorrow made arrangements. The group of people flew towards the City Lord's residence. West River Heavenly Monarch had sensed the arrival of a few Heaven Masters through an opportunity. Thus, he rushed towards the teleportation array. However, by the time he arrived, he was already surrounded. What are you guys doing? Is it not enough to kill my avatar? With a loud roar, West River Heavenly Monarch crushed a messaging crystal. It was Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's messaging crystal. It's useless to ask for help. Heavenly Monarch Yufei waved her sword and destroyed all the teleportation crystals on the teleportation array. Is it enough to kill your avatar? First, you shouldn't have followed the Zhanwu dynasty to declare war on the reincarnation world. Then, you went to the reincarnation world a second time. You deserve to die. Don't waste your breath. Kill. Knight Sorrow gave the order. Since Sandalwood had made her move, the other Sky Pillars of Reincarnation World were just spectators. As long as Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu doesn't run, no one was willing to surround him. 9 Genuine. Sandalwood was one of the top Sky Pillars of Reincarnation World. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, who had just lost his avatar, was no match for her. Be it in terms of willpower or energy, he was completely suppressed. In just a few moments, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu was killed. Sandalwood tossed Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's storage ring and weapons to Knight Sorrow. Let's go. Loot the City Lord's residence. Let's go back and solve another problem. Knight Sorrow was very satisfied with the outcome. After looting the resources of the City Lord's residence, Knight Sorrow left with his men on the transmission array. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, and Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu stood motionless in front of the transmission array. The transmission crystal to River West City was black. It's too late. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu is probably dead. So be it. We've lost. This realm war is really a shame. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu went forward and took all the transmission crystals, leaving only the one connected to Fortune City. He then floated into the air and waved his arms continuously. He threw out Saint Spirit stones at the plaza near the City Lord's residence. As Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu threw out his energy surged in every corner of Battle Tiger City. The rolling energy enveloped Battle Tiger City. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who had no choice but to activate the Great City Barrier Array. Big brother. Is this it? Heavenly Monarch Shen, who was unwilling to give up. His avatar had been killed. Third brother, we can't do this. None of their heavenly monarchs are dead. Look at the situation of our Shenwu great world. Regardless of whether we admit it or not, we have lost. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who sighed. Third brother, given the current situation, big brother and second brother can't help you. We have to get through this first. There will be plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. As long as the Zhanwu dynasty doesn't fall, we can do whatever we want in the future. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who said. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who nodded. He had no choice in this situation. The news of the Zhanwu dynasty sealing the city spread quickly. The Zhongling Manor was in a mess. The manor lord, Heavenly Monarch Zhongling, was anxious. What was he going to do now that the Zhanwu dynasty had retreated? The martial war city was sealed because of the Zhanwu dynasty's countless years of accumulation. In addition, Heavenly Monarch Shen, who was half an overlord. Therefore, he had the ability to set up the Great City Barrier Array. However, the Zhongling Manor couldn't. After hesitating for a while, Heavenly Monarch Zhongling gritted his teeth and ordered the various city gates to post notices saying that they were willing to pay compensation and withdraw from the World War. Knight Sorrow knew that the Zhongling Manor wouldn't be able to hold on if the martial war city was sealed. After receiving the news, Knight Sorrow greeted Qing Emperor and the rest. He decided to go to the Zhongling Manor and take care of as many people as he could. Knight Sorrow didn't want anyone to follow him. He wasn't afraid of Heavenly Monarch Zhongling. However, Sandalwood and Datura still followed him. When the three of them arrived at the Zhongling Manor, Heavenly Monarch Zhongling appeared. He cupped his hands and greeted the three of them before welcoming them into the manor. Commander Knight, the Zhongling Manor has also decided to withdraw from this world war. We won't stop the reincarnation world from attacking the Shenwu city. Heavenly Monarch Zhongling said. Stop them? Can you stop him? Sandalwood didn't stand on ceremony as she rebutted Heaven Monarch Zhongling. Haha, I have heard of the Blood Emperor's name. This is the 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones from the Zhongling Manor as an apology for attacking the reincarnation world. Heavenly Monarch Zhongling took out a storage ring and placed it on the table in front of Knight Sorrow. You are very well informed. However, the timing is not right. Is it okay for others to pay 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones? If the Zhongling Manor doesn't pay 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones, then we will fight. Knight Sorrow said coldly. Why? Heavenly Monarch Zhongling didn't understand. His face turned ugly. The timing is not right. You wanted to fight to the end. However, the Zhanwu dynasty sealed the city to protect themselves. You have no one to rely on. Therefore you decided to withdraw. Now that you have no one to rely on, do I have to make all the decisions? Knight Sorrow's words became sharp. Speak. The third update has arrived. Chapter 14:12. Unseal? 600,000 is a little too much. Heavenly Lord Zhongling said bitterly. 700,000 then. Datura, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke up. I can't afford that. Heavenly Lord Zhongling looked at Datura in shock. Since you don't want face, how about 800,000 then? You can try to bargain. If you bargain one more time and lose 1 million Saint Spirit Stones, your Zhongling Manor will be destroyed. Datura's words were filled with killing intent. She didn't want to waste any more words with Heavenly Lord Zhongling. Heavenly Lord Zhongling didn't say anything. He was far from being a match for Huang Xiaolong. Just say it. Are you going to pay me 800,000 or not? Datura asked coldly. If he didn't pay up, she would fight him directly. Here. Heavenly Lord Zhongling sighed when he saw the battle intent on Datura's body. He didn't have any room to bargain. If he said anything else, Datura would attack. Datura and Heavenly Lord Shen, who were evenly matched. He naturally couldn't afford to offend Datura. What made him angry was that he had to pay 200,000 Saint Spirit Stones for talking too much. Heavenly Lord Zhongling took out another storage ring and passed it to Knight Sorrow. After checking it, Knight Sorrow nodded and made Heavenly Lord Zhongling swear that he would no longer participate in the World War. Only then did he leave with Datura and Sandalwood and return to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Knight Sorrow heaved a sigh of relief after passing the storage ring to Jun Xuanji for him to distribute it to the various legions. Currently, only the Zhanwu dynasty and Fortune Gate are left to go against us. There's a total of 4 powerhouses, so the pressure isn't that great. That's right. We can start the final battle at any time. When do you plan to act? Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Long time x free q phi z% look/say. There's no hurry. The world war can't end prematurely. Once it ends, many things can't be done. The Zhanwu dynasty actually doesn't want to fight anymore. The fact that they sealed the city proves this point. Once we take down the Divine Martial City, the world war will end. If we continue to fight, we won't be righteous. Knight Sorrow said. When are we going to take down the Fortune Gate? The things Junior Brother needs are there. Sandalwood said Sandalwood of Knight's matters. She cared about Knight Sorrow's matters. We'll make our move after we gather enough information. I feel that all the other forces have retreated except for the Fortune Gate, so they must have some kind of confidence, but I don't know what kind of confidence they have. Yishan shook his head. Datura and Sandalwood didn't say anything else. Knight Sorrow's analysis was reasonable. The Fortune Gate style was indeed more unyielding than the Zhanwu dynasty. The Zhanwu dynasty had sealed the city, but the Fortune Gate was still the same. All the other forces had retreated from the Divine Martial City, but they didn't. Confidence? Where did this confidence come from? Yishang was a little puzzled. If he couldn't figure it out, then he would wait. Yishang wasn't in a hurry either. At this time, in a large garden on the east side of Fortune City, Bai Taisong was sitting in the main seat, and below him were several old men. At this time, Bai Taiching was holding a wine glass in his hand and spinning it in his hand. Gate Master, everything is ready. As long as the Reincarnation World's troops enter the Divine Martial City, we can start the battle. One of the old men said. He was the Fortune Gate's Grand Elder, Bai Taifeng. He was also the grandfather of Bai Yun, who had attacked Knight Sorrow in the Ice Dragon World. Good. All along, the Shenwu Great World had been dominated by the Zhanwu dynasty. This time it will change completely. After we deal a heavy blow to the Reincarnation World's allied forces, we will suppress the Divine Martial Dynasty and become the #1 force in the Shenwu Great World. Bai Taisong drank the wine in his hand. At this time, Bai Taisong was wearing a golden armor called the Sky-Piercing Armor. It was obtained by Bai Taisong in the Divine Martial Battling Heaven. Its level surpassed that of a monarch artifact. It was an armor nurtured by the Shenwu Great World's origin. The weapon used by Knight Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Sealing Hall was made from the divine weapon Qi of the 9 Domains origin. The reincarnation artifact also advanced through the divine weapon Qi. At that time, the 9 Domains world's level was still relatively low. Therefore, it was nurtured by the King artifact. However, the Shenwu Great World was different. It was a treasure nurtured by the origin of the 9 Domains world for countless years. Naturally, it was stronger. Knight Sorrow's reincarnation artifact had been nurtured in the Divine Sea while his main body was cultivating. It was already extremely sharp. The sky-piercing armor surpassed the top King artifact. It was a monarch artifact, but it was not a 9th grade monarch artifact. However, Bai Taisong had tested it himself. After he activated the sky-piercing armor, he could not break through its defense with his own weapons. Therefore, he was very confident. As for soul defense, he had cultivated a soul defense technique before. Therefore, he was very confident. Both his physical body and soul had an extremely strong defense, which could prevent a lot of damage. Moreover, he also had another defensive treasure, the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. After obtaining the sky-piercing armor, Bai Taisong had actually obtained the approval of the Shenwu Great World's origin. He could become the Divine Martial City's city lord at any time. However, he felt that the time was not ripe yet. Therefore, he did not provoke the heavenly monarch Shan Hu. Although he was strong, the Zhanwu dynasty had 3 emperor lords. There was also the West River heavenly monarch who ran errands for them. If they fought to the death, it would not benefit the Fortune Gate. However, this time, Bai Taisong felt that the time was right. It was time for the Fortune Gate to rise and dominate the Shenwu Great World. Some of the methods that were originally prepared for the Zhanwu dynasty could now be used on the allied forces of the world of reincarnation. That was, he had set up a formation in the divine martial city. The formation had not been activated yet. It was the same in the fortune city. There was also a killing formation. Both formations had not been activated. Bai Taisong would activate them wherever he felt that they were needed. The core of the formation was the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. In the Fortune Gate, and even in the entire Shenwu Great World, everyone only knew that Bai Taisong had a treasure. However, only Bai Taisong knew that he was helpless. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion had been by his side for a very long time, but it had never been able to recognize him as its master. It could only be used, but it could not be telepathically connected. This situation made Bai Taisong very confused. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion did not have a weapon spirit. It also did not have its own consciousness, but it rejected him. However, even if it could not recognize him as its master, it had still brought him great benefits. It had seized the fortune of heaven and earth, allowing him to cultivate from a saint king to a king, a monarch, and finally a giant. Looking at Bai Taisong in deep thought, Bai Taifeng and the others did not speak. After thinking for a while, Bai Taisong raised his head. You all get ready. If there is a situation, inform me immediately. Activate the formation. My defense is invincible. What can they do to me? Only I can kill them. Bai Taisong's face was filled with murderous intent. Night Sorrow had been sorting out the news every day. He was very puzzled. What exactly did he miss? Why was Bai Taisong so confident? There must be something that he did not know. Therefore he was not anxious. If he did not investigate anything, he would not take action. Now that the overall situation was in the world of reincarnation, he had nothing to be afraid of. Qing Emperor and the others all supported Night Sorrow's steadiness. What they admired was Night Sorrow's steadiness and the overall situation. Speak. The fourth update is here. Today's update is complete. Chapter 14:13. Unsealing expert. The leaders of the reincarnation world knew that the Fortune Gate had something that Night Sorrow desperately needed. Even so what? Night Sorrow was as steady as Mount Tai. He was waiting for the enemy to make a mistake. Many people in the Shenwu Great World didn't understand what was going on. They didn't know what the Fortune Gate and the reincarnation world's allied forces were up to. Based on the strength of the reincarnation world's allied forces, taking down the Fortune Gate and Divine Martial City would be as easy as flipping a hand. The Fortune Gate side was also very strange. Their way of doing things was hard to understand. The Fortune Gate was very strong, but it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot from the reincarnation world's allied forces. Even so, the Fortune Gate stood firm. In the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch was talking to Lin Qingyi. He was asking about the situation of the captives in the reincarnation world. Qingyi, since you've taken over the captives, you have to manage them well. If they revolt, the reincarnation world will blame it on us. We have an undeniable responsibility. The Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch said. Lin Qingyi nodded. Master, I understand. The captives in the reincarnation world are closely related to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. If they cause trouble, I'll be blamed. That's the same as dragging the Heavenly Moon Pavilion down. I know that some of them have avatars that will be affected by the Shenwu Great World. They might revolt. That's why I've invited 2 legions from the reincarnation world to surround the captives' camp. Whoever dares to cause trouble will only have themselves to blame. You're very insightful. The waters in the Shenwu Great World are still very murky. If you're not careful, you might be consigned to eternal damnation. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who is usually noisy, but the one who hides the deepest is Bai Taisong. However, Night Sorrow of the reincarnation world isn't someone to be trifled with either. There will be an intense battle coming up, the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch said. Is Bai Taisong that powerful? Lin Qingyi asked in surprise. Yes, I suspect that he obtained great benefits in the Divine Martial Battle Hall. Back then, there was a battle armor in the Divine Martial Battle Hall, and many big shots went in to try it out. Back then I went there as well. After I failed, Bai Taisong went. After that, I coincidentally made a breakthrough and planned to try again. However, the armor had already been cleared and taken away by someone. That person is most likely Bai Taisong, said the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch. That is to say, Bai Taisong's actual combat strength is even stronger than Heaven Lord Shenhu? Lin Qingyi's eyes were filled with astonishment. For countless years, Lord of Heaven Shen, who had been known as the #1 expert in Shenwu Great World. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who is the City Lord of Divine Martial City. Does he have the City Lord seal? No, Bai Taisong doesn't reveal himself. He might be the person who has the City Lord seal of Divine Martial City. Of course, this is just my guess, said the Three Sons Heavenly Monarch. Master's guess is very likely to be true. If not, Bai Taisong wouldn't be so confident. It seems that the realm war in the world of reincarnation won't be so easy to win, said Lin Qingyi. It's hard to say. Everyone has their own trump cards. If you underestimate anyone, you will be the one at a disadvantage. Perhaps Bai Taisong is strong and has been hiding for many years to explode. However, the world of reincarnation has already been established. It won't be that easy to break through. Bai Taisong is also a despicable person. If he had the ability, he would have stood up earlier and led the Shenwu Great World to fight against the world of reincarnation. Perhaps the realm war would have been stabilized. But what about him? In pursuit of personal fame, he wants to turn the tide. It's hard to say what the outcome will be. The Three Sons Heavenly Monarch laughed coldly. He was one of the few people who knew about Bai Taisong. Let's wait and see who is the most ruthless. However, I still think that Knight Sorrow has a higher chance of winning. The others are the commanders of the world of reincarnation's allied forces. It's hard to say what the outcome will be because the origin of the Shenwu Great World will affect them. However, Knight Sorrow is a virtuous sage. The origin of the world can't just bully him, right? The origin of the world would rather lose the realm war than go against the heavenly Tao, said Lin Qingyi. That's the logic. Let's just wait and see. If we form an alliance with the Wolf King sect and the Lu family, we will be able to stabilize the situation. I think that Songling Villa will make the same choice. No matter who has the upper hand, we don't care. My goal is to keep this place safe, said the Three Sons Heavenly Monarch. Lin Qingyi nodded her head. She had followed the Three Sons Heavenly Monarch for many years and understood him well. The Three Sons Heavenly Monarch didn't like to fight for power or fame. This time, he had only participated in the realm war because the origin of the Shenwu Great World had called for him. However, he ended up in a quagmire, and it was difficult for him to extricate himself from it. The Shenwu Great World had stabilized, and some of the powers had also stabilized. However, the atmosphere was still tense. The Divine Martial City and Fortune City were filled with killing intent. Everyone knew that the world of reincarnation's allied forces and the Fortune Gate were about to go all out. This made many people puzzled. However, no one was a fool. They all knew that the Fortune Gate must have some kind of trump card that could resist the world of reincarnation's allied forces. At the same time, many people were cursing. If the Fortune Gate had the ability, why didn't you come out earlier? You waited until the other powers were either destroyed or forced to retreat before coming out. Go! However, Bai Taisong didn't care. He sat in the Divine Martial City and waited for the world of reincarnation to attack. Knight Sorrow placed his spies in the Divine Martial City and Fortune City. He wanted to find out what was going on. As long as he could win the realm war, Knight Sorrow felt that time wasn't a problem. A month later, a member of the Secret Guards found some clues. He found traces of an array foundation in the Divine Martial City. In other words, he found an energy point. The array hadn't been activated yet. Knight Sorrow understood that Bai Taisong had set up a huge trap for the world of reincarnation's allied forces to jump into. The power of an array formation was unpredictable. No one dared to say what kind of power it could unleash. Knight Sorrow made a decision to break the array formation before it was activated. He wanted to break it silently. Knight Sorrow told the Qing Emperor and the others about his idea. Then, the Qing Emperor and Sandal followed Knight Sorrow. The Qing Emperor was very skilled in array formations. He could help Knight Sorrow solve some problems with the array formation. Sandal could help protect him. Sima Tiancheng was also a high-level Heavenly Master Realm Array Master. However, he didn't cultivate the leakless true body. He couldn't hide his aura and would be detected in advance. When they reached the periphery of the Divine Martial City, Knight Sorrow and the Qing Emperor checked a few areas. They sensed the energy hidden underground. It's the Great Chaotic Heaven Array. It's mainly used for killing. The Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and said, I also feel that the killing aura of the array formation is very strong. Master, can we change the structure of the array formation without triggering it and make Bai Taisong's plan fail? Night Sorrow asked. He didn't understand the great chaotic heaven array that the Qing Emperor mentioned. It's a big project. However, we have time. We can slowly break this array formation. By then, he will have one less trump card. The Qing Emperor said. Then, under the guidance of the Qing Emperor, Night Sorrow followed the Qing Emperor. The two of them started to break the array. All of this happened without anyone noticing. Speak. First watch. Chapter 14:14. Unseal? Night Sorrow, I don't think this is his only trump card. Other than the formation, he might have something else up his sleeve, so we have to be careful. The Qing Emperor reminded Night Sorrow. Master, disciple will be careful. I won't underestimate anyone. Anyone who can cultivate to the level of a sky pillar is smart enough. If he dares to go against us, he must have some tricks up his sleeve that we don't know about. Therefore, even if disciple knows that a part of the Haotian divine pagoda is in his hands, I will still endure, said Yishang. As long as you can hold on, I can rest assured. The current situation is in our favor. Some forces have been sworn to not act recklessly before the end of the realm war. So we can play it safe, Emperor Qing said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was the main reason why he could stay calm. In the Shenwu Great World, only the godly Tiger Dynasty and the Fortune Gate could go against the Reincarnation World's allied forces. In terms of strength, the Reincarnation World had the upper hand. The rest was a battle of wits, tactics, and strategies. Now that they had uncovered the Fortune Gate's trump card, there would be one less dangerous factor. Although it took a lot of effort to set up and break the formation, there were few concerns. However, it was difficult to change the structure of the formation. They had to be careful. It took Night Sorrow and the Qing Emperor almost a month to change the chaotic heaven formation in the Shenwu city into the Nine Serenities slaughtering god formation that Night Sorrow and the Qing Emperor were familiar with. When changing the layout of the formation, Night Sorrow and the Qing Emperor had many tricks up their sleeves. They changed the foundation of the previous chaotic heaven formation to that of the Nine Serenities slaughtering god formation. Even the energy traction was changed. According to the previous activation method of the chaotic heaven formation, it would not be activated and there would be no reaction. After changing the structure of the formation, Night Sorrow and the Qing Emperor specially set up a formation door. Only the formation door in a specific area could activate the Nine Serenities slaughtering god formation. This was to prevent it from being activated randomly. Forever? Long time %free plus fee x/look D. After everything was settled, Night Sorrow told Qing Emperor about his plans to visit Fortune City. Both the Divine Martial City and Fortune City were not in a defensive state. Since the Divine Martial City had a protective array, then the Fortune City should also have a protective array. When Huang Xiaolong arrived at Fortune City, he did some research. Just as Night Sorrow had predicted, there were also formations that had yet to be activated. Then, Night Sorrow and Qing Emperor began to change the array. During his free time, Night Sorrow went to the east side of Fortune City to check out the 8 Dragon Cauldrons location. Master, do you think this variable is the Fortune Immortal Pavilion? Disciple paid attention to the wild garden, and it was the same as Uncle Xian Daozi's divination. The only difference was that there was no starlight during the day, and the surrounding spirit chi was lacking. It should be because the Immortal Fortune Pavilion absorbed the spirit chi when it was operating, Night Sorrow said. I don't know how powerful the Heavenly Tao artifact is, but every Heavenly Tao artifact has unparalleled power. Why is Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu so strong? Because his soul defense is unshakable. When magnate-level cultivators fight, their ultimate arts affect the soul. If they can't affect the soul, it's hard to kill them, Qing Emperor said. He didn't have the Heavenly Tao artifact, so some things were just guesses. If the variable is from the Fortune Immortal Pavilion, then when disciple wakes up from his enlightenment, I can fight with the pagoda of time and space. Since we're of the same origin, I might be able to restrain it. At the very least, I can interfere with the Fortune Immortal Pavilion's power, Night Sorrow said. This line of thinking is correct, but your enlightenment cannot be delayed. That's your future. Qing Emperor said. He was concerned about the realm war, but he was also concerned about his disciple's future. In his heart, Night Sorrow was going to enter the Heaven Pillar level, and nothing could be delayed. Master, when disciple cultivates in the pagoda of time and space, time is 20 times faster. The enlightenment won't last for too long. Even if it takes 10 years, it's only half a year in the real world, Night Sorrow said. Enlightenment was hard to come by, and cultivators hoped to enter it the most. Every enlightenment would be accompanied by a rapid increase in strength. Yi Shan's epiphany had been going on for quite some time, and it wasn't something that could be sustained continuously. A moment of enlightenment could be as short as an instant, and as long as 3 to 5 years. How could enlightenment last for a long time? When you're done with your enlightenment, bring the pagoda of time and space over. With your current strength you can protect yourself. I'm not worried about that, Qing Emperor said with a smile. His disciple wasn't a magnate, but he had the strength of a magnate. He was very proud, and he was even looking forward to seeing what Night Sorrow would be like when he entered the magnate level. His eldest disciple, Zhan Tan, had just entered the Heaven Monarch realm, but she already had the strength of a top-notch Heaven Monarch. Qing Emperor estimated that when his youngest disciple entered the Heaven Monarch realm, he would be invincible in the world. Master, you don't have to worry about junior brother's strength. Even his doppelganger can fight against a magnate. If he and his doppelganger fight together, it will be very difficult for anyone to hurt him, Zhan Tan said with a smile. Yes, your junior brother has the world's origin energy to protect his soul. He also specializes in cultivating his body and has an impenetrable body. No one can hurt him just because they want to. Qing Emperor nodded. Senior brother, we want to fight side by side. When we take care of Heaven Lord Zhao Hua, let's fight together, Night Sorrow said. All right, it's settled then. We'll let the world know of our strength. Let's see who dares to go against our Qing Emperor's dynasty in the future. We'll kill anyone who goes against us, Zhan Tan said. Haha. The two of you are Master's pride. Who in the world can be as good as Master? Qing Emperor laughed heartily when he saw the pride of his two disciples. After the three of them drank some wine, they continued to work. After half a month, Yi Shang and the Azure Emperor had also solved the Fortune City's array formation. They could activate it at any time. After doing all this, the three returned to the encampment in Blue Eagle Mountain. When the other Heaven Masters heard that Night Sorrow and Qing Emperor had fixed the Divine Martial City and Fortune City's array formations, they were very excited. Li Tianba even wanted to go out and fight. Brother Qing, I suspect that Bai Tai Song has more than these two array formations. He might have other tricks up his sleeve, Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. Yes, so we can't be impulsive for now. Qing Emperor nodded. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord looked at Night Sorrow. Bai Tai Song has the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Everyone knows this, but no one knows the power of the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. I have the other part of the Haotian God's Pagoda, which is the Space-Time Pagoda. According to my deduction, the defensive power of the Space-Time Pagoda alone is terrifying. It might also have other functions. Therefore, I plan to wait for my main body to come out of seclusion and bring the Space-Time Pagoda to fight. We can use the Space-Time Pagoda to restrain his Fortune Immortal Pavilion. That will be the time for us to attack. No matter who it is, we can't know all their tricks. If we have a chance of winning, we can attack. Night Sorrow said. There's no 100% chance of winning a war. If you think it's possible, then let's fight. No matter what decision you make, I'll support you to the end. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. My main body's enlightenment is about to end. If my Space-Time Pagoda can't restrain his Fortune Immortal Pavilion, I'll kill him even if I have to destroy the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Night Sorrow's battle intent soared as he spoke. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 14-15. Battle Intent Aura. Night Sorrow, this is Battle Intent Aura, not Killing Intent. Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Night Sorrow withdrew his aura. Regarding aura, many people have cultivated it before, but most of them are Killing Intent Aura. Your pure Battle Intent Aura without Killing Intent is very rare. Sima Tiancheng said. The other big shots also nodded. When many people comprehended attribute willpower, they also comprehended sword and blade willpower, But it had nothing to do with aura. Many people wanted to comprehend aura because it was rumored that the control of the aura of the heavenly Tao was the gateway to the 9th rank. Night Sorrow's battle intent had already formed aura. Night Sorrow, you have a part of the heavenly Tao artifact, so you should know that the defense of the heavenly Tao artifact is very terrifying. It will be very difficult to break through its defense. Origin Tao Heavenly Lord said. I have the origin spirit, but it's just an incomplete heavenly Tao artifact. It can be broken. Night Sorrow said. Origin spirit. Night Sorrow's reincarnation was the origin spirit. Reincarnation had been nourished by the 9 domains origin spirit. Although it was a king's weapon, it was a weapon with the origin spirit. In the early stages, it had been baptized by the 9 domains origin spirit. In addition, it had been nourished by his own divine sea's soul force. Night Sorrow's reincarnation's attack power had reached an unimaginable level. Of course, the strength of the owner was also one of the factors that determined the strength of the attack. Everyone in the tent looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise because this was a trump card that Night Sorrow had never shown before. All along, Night Sorrow had only used his clone to fight. Very few people knew the strength of his main body. Night Sorrow, your clone was able to remain undefeated in front of the big shot Datura Chinensis. Your main body is stronger. You should have the title of Heavenly Lord, or even Emperor. Sima Tiancheng said. Palace Lord, you're exaggerating. My original body is still in the midst of enlightenment. It will take some time for me to come out of seclusion. Night Sorrow clasped his hands towards everyone in the tent. It was only right for him to contribute to the realm war. He should sacrifice himself for the greater good. Night Sorrow felt that it was a little selfish to make everyone wait. It's not like we're in a crisis right now. Your future is also very important. In the world of cultivators, no one was willing to see powerful cultivators appear because they were a threat. However, you are a merit saint and a cultivator from the world of reincarnation. I am willing to see the cultivators from the world of reincarnation dominate the world, Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. Night Sorrow nodded. The Origin Dao Heavenly Monarch had the demeanor of an elder. The stability of the reincarnation great world requires everyone to maintain it. It also requires true experts to hold the fort. We are not strong enough now. Perhaps you will be able to do so in the future. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord spoke again. Now that most of the forces in the reincarnation great world are here, let's talk about how to deal with the celestial sect. They are ultimately a black sheep and an unstable factor. The Red Emperor said. About this, all of you can discuss it. More than half of you feel that we should go to war, and I support that. Night Sorrow also feels that we should go to war, and I support that as well. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. Everyone else nodded. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord was expressing his trust. Why did he trust him? Because Night Sorrow was a merit saint. He wouldn't do things that went against his conscience. Every decision he made was based on the overall situation. Everyone was waiting. Bai Taesong was waiting for the reincarnation great world to attack, but the reincarnation great world's allied forces were also waiting. They were waiting for Night Sorrow to come out of seclusion. In the blink of an eye, 4 months had passed. Many forces couldn't see the situation clearly. For example, the Wolf King sect and the Zhongling Manor. No matter how strong the Fortune Gate was, the reincarnation great world's allied forces were suppressing them. However, the reincarnation great world's allied forces didn't move. However, the Three Sons Heavenly Lord had a different point of view. Master, what do you think the reincarnation great world's allied forces are doing? If they go to war, won't they win the world war? Lin Qingyi was a little confused. According to her impression of Night Sorrow, this wasn't how he was supposed to be. If they go to war right away, it won't be easy to determine the outcome. However, as time passes, the reincarnation great world's chances of winning will increase. You have to know that in terms of strength, the reincarnation great world's allied forces are suppressing them. Bai Taesong is definitely relying on some devious arts. However, these devious arts are only temporary. As the commander of the reincarnation great world, if Night Sorrow can stabilize the situation, then Bai Taesong's devious arts might be ineffective, the Three Sons Heavenly Lord said. It seems like this Night Sorrow isn't simple. The Shinwu Great World's captives in the reincarnation Great World rioted under the instigation of the Fortune Gate's captives. In the end, all the Fortune Gates members were killed. That's quite ruthless, Lin Qingyi said. The reincarnation Great World made the right choice in choosing him as their commander. He has both conciliatory and ruthless methods. Bai Taisong has gone overboard. If he had stood up from the start, perhaps things wouldn't have turned out this way. The three sons' heavenly lord snorted coldly. He was extremely dissatisfied in his heart. 2 months ago, outside the reincarnation Great World's Black Fiend City, the Xinwu Great World's captives rebelled. The Green Qilin Legion, Green Phoenix Legion, and Qihua Legion that were stationed outside the city surrounded the captives. When Knight Sorrow received the news, he led the furious Qilin Legion back and directly killed the captives. King forever watch for free. Because of the instigation of the Fortune Gates members, Knight Sorrow didn't spare a single one of the Fortune Gates members. Knight Sorrow then asked Lin Qingyi to gather all the captives together. I'm very sorry. It was my mistake. I saved their lives, but I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Lin Qingyi looked at Knight Sorrow apologetically. Your intentions were good. You were able to inform our legion in time. You've done well. All of you listen up. The reason why I didn't kill you was because I, Knight Sorrow, didn't want to kill too many people. However, if you cross my bottom line, I don't mind killing you. Senior brother Green Qilin, Qihua, you too guard this place. If anyone dares to cause trouble, kill them on sight. Knight Sorrow instructed. After dealing with the rebellion, Knight Sorrow's clone stayed on the Blue Eagle Mountain. Sometimes he would go out for a walk. He was waiting for his main body to wake up from his meditation so that he could start the battle. On the other hand, the development of the situation was very unfavorable for the Fortune Gate. The various forces of the Xinwu Great World retreated from the Divine Martial City. It wasn't that they didn't want their foundations, but that they had withdrawn their battle forces. It was to express their attitude that they wouldn't stop the reincarnation Great World from attacking the Divine Martial City. Now that only the Fortune Gate's battle forces were in the Divine Martial City, they were naturally arrogant and despotic. Even if it wasn't by Taisong's intention, the Fortune Gate's disciples would still do so. The Fortune Gate's arrogance attracted the dissatisfaction of the various forces. These forces informed Knight Sorrow that they wouldn't stop the reincarnation Great World from attacking the Divine Martial City. After that, their battle forces once again entered the Divine Martial City and clashed with the Fortune Gate's members. The Fortune Gate's actions were nothing in Knight Sorrow's eyes, but in the eyes of the Xinwu Great World's forces, it was very annoying. Knight Sorrow was very happy to see such a situation. The Fortune Gate was in trouble, so Bai Taisong had to step in to solve it. It was impossible to solve it by force. Many forces had already formed an alliance. How could Bai Taisong kill them? Regardless of whether he could kill them or not, he would definitely expose his trump card. Speak. The third update has arrived. Chapter 14:16. This situation infuriated Bai Taisong greatly. He couldn't start a real war. If he didn't start a war, who could he intimidate? Who would give him face? The furious Bai Taisong could only restrain himself. He could only mobilize some of the Fortune City's troops to stabilize the situation. Whether it was the Fortune Gate or other forces that were unwilling to engage in a large-scale war, the matter of fighting for territory continued to happen. Generally speaking, there was a set of rules and regulations in the Divine Martial City, but after the destruction of the Martial God Temple in Poison King's Valley, many territories were empty. This was the root cause of the chaos. Everyone wanted territory, so competition was inevitable. Knight Sorrow smiled when he received the news from his spy. This situation was exactly what he wanted. Chaos. The more chaotic, the better. Every day, Knight Sorrow would meditate and cultivate. He could feel that his soul had changed greatly. It was a change that had occurred after he had been baptized by the power of reincarnation in the Yellow Springs River. He had become much more agile and could even be improved. He was no longer restricted by his original body. This was a good thing. Knight Sorrow felt that this would increase his clone's strength. A cultivator's clone was restricted by the main body. This was the law of heaven and earth, and it would never change. Knight Sorrow's situation wouldn't change this law, but it was a fact that his clone's strength was slightly stronger. Knight Sorrow left the Blue Eagle Mountain and went to the Divine Martial City and Fortune City to take a look. He was worried that Bai Taisong had discovered the changes in the formation. In fact, After leaving the matter of the formation to Bai Taesong and the others, Bai Taesong didn't ask about it anymore. After checking the formation, Night Sorrow went to check the Fortune Immortal Pavilion's aura. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow went to the God-slaying team's encampment to take a look. Latest news. Chapter 2. At this time, Dachira came to Night Sorrow's side. You're running around again. Next time when you go out, call me. Don't you know it's dangerous? Night Sorrow laughed. Ah Luo, I'm not a rookie. I won't be killed by anyone. It's just that it won't be easy to hurt me. You might be right, but I'm worried about you going to Bai Taesong's territory. That Bai Taesong has been hiding all this time. It's obvious that he's a vicious person. Who knows what tricks he has up his sleeve? If he finds out about you, he will attack you at all costs, Dachira said. Night Sorrow nodded. I don't want my main body to wake up right now, but I also want it to. At this moment, Night Sorrow was in a dilemma. If his main body didn't wake up, his strength would continue to increase. However, if he didn't wake up, he wouldn't be able to fight. I can understand what you're thinking. Let nature take its course. You've been in an epiphany for some time, right? Dachira asked. It's been 4 months in the real world. It's been 7 years in the time acceleration. It's been a long time, Night Sorrow said. 7 years. If you've been in an epiphany for 7 years, your cultivation of will increase greatly, Dachira said. I don't know. When my main body is in an epiphany, my soul is sealed. I can't communicate with my doppelganger. I can only wake up when I'm in an epiphany, Night Sorrow said. I'm looking forward to it. Every time the will of the heavens increases in the monarch realm, there will be some increase in power. In these 7 years, your will should have deepened a lot. If you're lucky, you might become a mid-level monarch, Dachira said with a smile. Maybe. In principle, the reincarnation world's origin is insistent. However, it's really helpful in my comprehension of will. The display of will is very strong and it's in various forms. It's very helpful for my comprehension, Night Sorrow said. He knew some things. You're a merit saint. This has an impact on the origin of the world. Moreover, after you appeared, you brought many benefits to the reincarnation world. After you appeared, the reincarnation world became stable, Dachira said. But after I appeared, I went through a lot of killing. Many people died. Night Sorrow shook his head. There were a few wars. However, in fact, those were all twists and turns on the road of development. If a big tree wants to grow smoothly, the crooked branches have to be cut off. No matter what you go through, as long as your starting point is right, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes, killing is a way to benefit the world, Dachira said. Actually, I didn't think too much about it. I just did what I was supposed to do. However, along the way, my foundation of virtue has grown stronger and stronger, Yishan said with a smile. He felt that he was very lucky. Now, you're still lacking a little because you're only a merit saint in the reincarnation world. When you become a merit saint, you'll be a merit saint in the world, Dachira said with a smile. As a woman, she naturally wanted to see her husband achieve success. Furthermore, Night Sorrow's achievements had come in an upright and majestic manner. Night Sorrow nodded. There was a watershed between the merit saint and the merit saint. It was like the watershed between the Sage King and the King. Taking this step was breaking through the rules. From the Sage King realm to the King realm, the rules of heaven and earth were the lifespan limit. From the merit saint to the merit saint, the rules of heaven and earth were the rules of the world. No matter which world the merit saint went to, the merit effect would exist. Because the power of merit was profound, it was recognized by the heavenly way. Whether it was in a small world or a group of worlds, it was not easy to accumulate merit to become a merit saint. The righteousness of one's heart was confirmed and tempered. Therefore, the heavenly way would recognize it. After chatting with Dachira for a while, Night Sorrow's state of mind calmed down a lot. The Xinwu Great World was chaotic, so he would observe the situation. If it was really necessary to fight, he would shake the soul of his doppelganger and let his main body wake up to participate in the battle. Time passed steadily. During this time, Wu Lingfei, Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, Yang Lei, Xue Shi, and the others all came to see Night Sorrow. They were worried about Night Sorrow, But Night Sorrow did not let them stay in the Shenwu Great World because it was not safe enough. One day in the 6th month, when Night Sorrow was making tea, the aura on his body changed. The space-time will around him was very strong, and the purple halo on his body was also rippling. This made Jun Xuanji, who was sorting out the information in the tent, change his expression drastically. He quickly retreated because the suppression was too strong. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and felt the situation in his body. The will of nothingness was 94%, which was just enough to enter the intermediate monarch rank. If the will of nothingness entering the intermediate monarch rank was within Night Sorrow's expectations, then the increase of the will of time and space was beyond his expectations. Samsara Palace showed Night Sorrow 3 kinds of will, which was the combination of the will of nothingness, the will of time, and the will of space. In the state of epiphany, Night Sorrow's soul was empty and receptive. Therefore, when the will of nothingness was promoted, the will of time and space also entered the monarch rank. Night Sorrow's 7th talent bloodline energy point under the dragon bone on his back exuded a strong will of space, but it had not been fully activated yet. But at this time, the energy point exuded a strong will of space. Could it only be activated when the will of time and space is perfected? Night Sorrow did not understand. Say the 4th update is here. Today's update is complete. Chapter 14:17. Unsealed. Night Sorrow couldn't ask anyone about the bloodline energy points he had. He was the only one in the Night Clan who had 7 bloodline energy points. Who could he ask? However, Night Sorrow felt that this was a good thing. If it wasn't fully activated, it meant that there was still potential. Void intent, low-level space attribute, and low-level time attribute. This was Night Sorrow's current strength. Night Sorrow felt good. The advancement of time attribute had increased his body's defense. The advancement of space attribute had increased his speed. The advancement of true chi attribute and void attribute was a fundamental improvement. It increased his attack power and soul power. Without time to refine the soul cultivation liquid, Night Sorrow's body flashed out of the space-time pagoda. At this time, the world of reincarnation's original body also appeared. Amazing! This is an evaluation that I have to give. He is also the fastest cultivator that I know of, said the world of reincarnation's original body. Senior, thank you for your support. Night Sorrow can understand your preferential treatment for me. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the world of reincarnation's original body. You have to work hard to separate yourself. Why are you coming out? Do you want to relax? The world of reincarnation's original body asked. No. My original body wants to bring the space-time pagoda to fight with the opponent. The opponent's fortune pavilion might be a part of the Haotian godly pagoda. The space-time pagoda might be able to counter it. Night Sorrow said. You are the commander of the realm war. You won the most important battle. To the world of reincarnation, you have done a great service. I should help you. The world of reincarnation's original body can nurture the heavenly artifact. However, I am a little special. I have been strengthening the reincarnation palace. Therefore, I don't have the heavenly artifact for you. However, I can help you strengthen your weapon. Your weapon reincarnation has a reincarnation stone at the tip. It matches my will and original attribute. The reincarnation palace's original body said. Thank you, Senior. Let's talk about this later. I am going to participate in the realm war now. I can't do it without a weapon. Night Sorrow said. Nurturing weapons took a long time. Back then, the 9 domains world had helped him nurture them for a few years. If he wanted to fight, Samsara was indispensable, so he did not have the time. Haha, I've told you that I don't have the artifact of Heavenly Way, but I still have some other abilities. Give me the weapon. It won't take up too much of your time, the source of Samsara Palace said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow took out the Samsara sword and handed it to the Samsara origin. The origin of the world of reincarnation took reincarnation and disappeared. Night Sorrow knew that he had more capital now. Reincarnation itself was the origin god. If the origin of the world of reincarnation strengthened his weapon, it would be even sharper. Just a moment later, the origin of Samsara Palace appeared, holding Night Sorrow's Samsara in its hand. It's already between level 8 and level 9. There's no opportunity to enter level 9. Otherwise it would be a level 9 Emperor grade weapon. The origin of Samsara Palace threw Samsara in front of Night Sorrow. Holding Samsara, Night Sorrow felt it and felt that the tip of Samsara seemed to have changed. You don't understand? What is Samsara stone? It's a strange stone with the energy of life and death. It's the energy that dominates life and death. It's just that it's not strong enough. I just strengthened it for you. In the future, as long as your energy is released from Samsara, it can kill the opponent's body and hurt the opponent's soul, the origin of Samsara Palace said. Night Sorrow was stunned. This was not the same level as before. I just strengthened the blade for you. I didn't change the structure, the origin of Samsara Palace said. So fast. Night Sorrow's hand that was holding Samsara shook, and Samsara fell into the sleeve behind him. Because there's a space in Samsara Palace where time stops. That's the limit of the will of time. Okay, you can go now. The origin of Samsara Palace nodded. Night Sorrow put away the space-time pagoda and flashed out of Samsara Palace. Then, he rushed toward the teleportation formation. After teleporting once, Night Sorrow appeared in the Commander-in-Chief's tent in the military camp of Blue Eagle Mountain. Then, he merged with his doppelganger. At this time, Datura appeared in Night Sorrow's tent. Then, the other Sky Masters also appeared. You're out. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Why did she come? Because the opportunity of a strong expert appeared. The power she carried was at the level of a Sky Master. I just came out. Night Sorrow nodded. Very strong. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao nodded at Night Sorrow. Because the power that Night Sorrow carried was almost the same as theirs. Fortunately, the enlightenment this time was good. My luck is quite good. Night Sorrow said with a smile. How can you rely on luck in cultivation? Hard work, Sima Tianqing said. You just came out. Familiarize yourself with your cultivation first. We can talk about the battle later. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao said. Then the group left. Night Sorrow familiarized himself with his cultivation in the tent. Cultivation was not equal to combat power. Cultivation was the foundation of high combat power. At this time, in the tent where the Sky Masters usually meditated and chatted, everyone was chatting. They were all in high spirits. Suppression. I can feel suppression coming from Yi Shang's body. It's suppression everywhere, the Crimson Emperor said. Yes. The majestic aura rippled in all directions. His strength is not as simple as being able to protect himself in front of the Sky Masters. Sima Tianqing expressed his feelings. Brother Qing, time and space aren't Night Sorrow's original attributes, right? Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao looked at Qing Emperor. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao was the Lord of Time. Other than the supreme attribute, he couldn't suppress it. However, he was suppressed by Night Sorrow's aura. Qing Emperor glanced at the Sky Masters in the tent. I'm not deliberately hiding it from everyone. I'm responsible for Night Sorrow. Originally, I didn't plan to leak it before he had the ability to protect himself. Now that Night Sorrow is a mid-level monarch, his ability to protect himself is more than enough. I'll tell everyone. Night Sorrow has the supreme attribute. Usually, he uses the time and space attributes to hide. Hearing Qing Emperor's words, Sima Tianqing and the others looked at each other. Update. 9-inch when he killed the War Tiger Prince's main body. I felt that it was very strange. At that time, the purple halo burst out, and the aura was suppressed. At that time I thought it was the effect of the virtuous body. Now, I can confirm that it wasn't the destruction attribute. Could it be the void attribute that rarely appears? Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance looked at Qing Emperor and asked. Yes. Qing Emperor nodded. Qing Emperor, you have sharp eyes. You can discover a cultivator with the supreme attribute and even accept him as a disciple. Red Emperor looked at Qing Emperor with envy. It's not like that. I found out later. Qing Emperor explained. Discovering first and accepting first were two different things. Speak. First update. Chapter 14:18. Unsealed? That's because you're lucky, said the Red Emperor. Lord Ruler, what was the situation when you married him? Lord of Precious Fragrance looked at Datura. I knew that he had the supreme attribute, but it was hard to make a choice. None of us would allow an opponent with a supreme attribute to grow. At that time, the Dark Abyss and the Qing Emperor's dynasty were at war. If we captured him, killing him would destroy a talent. If we didn't kill him, he might become an uncontrollable opponent. Therefore, I couldn't make a choice. At that time, Datura opened up beside the Yellow Spring River in the Dark Abyss. You all know what that meant. Therefore, I made the decision to marry him. Datura explained her situation in a low voice. She was very satisfied with her current life and felt that she had managed her relationship well. The strongest cultivators in this era are not only from the Reincarnation Great World, but also from the Black-Yellow Great World and the Shinwu Great World, said Lord of Heavenly Tao. Knight's sorrow shocked everyone. Not only did he have a suppressive aura, but he also had a rolling momentum of heaven and earth. The suppressive aura came from the suppression of attributes. The rolling momentum of heaven and earth came from the light of merit of the merit saint. Knight's sorrow stayed in the tent and sensed his own situation. This was a necessary step after advancing. After nearly 7 days, Knight's sorrow walked out of the tent. At this time, his aura was very calm. He was still a refined young man. His aura and momentum were completely restrained and hidden in his body. This was the effect of not revealing his true body. Knight's sorrow entered the tent of the Qing Emperor and the others. Everyone stood up and cupped their hands. This was a sign of respect. In the past, everyone was polite to Knight's sorrow because Knight's sorrow was the commander and needed Knight's sorrow to command the battle. Therefore, they were polite to him. At the same time, it was also a sign of support for the younger generation. But now it was different. Everyone respected him, and it was the respect of those who cultivated at the same level. A few days ago, when Knight's sorrow's main body had arrived, the aura he carried had made everyone feel pressured. There's no need to be so courteous. Everyone, please take a seat. Knight's sorrow cupped his hands in return. I'm very happy to see you like this. It's not strange for a Sky Master magnate to have the battle strength of a magnate, but for a monarch to have such battle strength, it's a treasure. Sima Tiancheng said. You flatter me. Now, let's discuss whether we should take the Divine Martial City or Fortune City first. Knight's sorrow asked after sitting down. Which city do you prefer to take first? Qing Emperor looked at Knight's sorrow and asked. Right now, the Divine Martial City is still a little chaotic. Disciple feels that we should take down Fortune City first. Once we take down Fortune City, the chaotic forces in the Shenwu Great World will retreat. Knight's sorrow voiced his thoughts. Okay, it's up to you. Qing Emperor nodded. The world war is coming to an end. Li Tianba muttered. Next, there are a few unstable factors that I will talk about here. First, the Divine Tiger Dynasty might ally with the Fortune Gate. In other words, during the battle, the other side's 3 heavenly monarchs might appear. We must be mentally prepared for this. Yi Shan said. After we attack, can't we just destroy their transmission array first? Li Tianhu said. Are they stupid? Every time we attacked, we destroyed their transmission array first. Their alliance must be prepared for this. Knight's sorrow said with a smile. Sky Tiger Valley Master, don't talk anymore. Your thinking will affect Knight's sorrow. We will all be tricked. Misty Rain said. Li Tianhu nodded awkwardly. He also felt that he was taking things for granted. After becoming a Sky Master, many of his habits had changed. Some problems were solved by force. He had no idea when it came to battles of wits or strategies. Arrange the battle strategy in advance. Divine Tiger Lord, Aluo, you have battle experience. Block him. Second Emperor, who's going? Knight's sorrow asked. Second Emperor, I'll do it. Sima Tiancheng said. Then, Third Emperor, I'll do it. Li Tianba said. Tianba and Tianhu, the 2 Valley Masters will deal with the Third Emperor. He doesn't have any battle avatars, so it shouldn't be difficult to kill him. Sima Manor Master and Precious Fragrance Heavenly Monarch, go kill the Second Emperor. Master's wife, support Aluo. When the Lightning Fire Heavenly Monarch comes, Master will block him. As for that by Taesung, I'll test his strength. Senior brother, Heavenly Monarch Yuan Dao will support the formation. Knight's sorrow arranged. What about me? Why is it my business? Red Emperor was a little unwilling. Yes, if anyone wants to run, Lord Red Emperor will be in charge of intercepting them. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Good, that's more like it. Red Emperor nodded with a smile. If you can kill them quickly, kill them quickly. This can quickly change the situation of the battle. Knight Sorrow said. We don't know what trump cards Bai Taesong has, so we have to be careful. Here are the glazed golden pills, which can prevent all negative effects. Everyone, take one. Knight Sorrow took out a bottle of glazed golden pills and placed it on the table in the middle of the tent. This pill is a treasure. I've heard of it. Red Emperor took out a glazed golden pill and said. Of course it's a treasure. Knight Sorrow spent a lot of effort on the ingredients for this pill. Datura said. We know. When the battle is over, we'll send the gift. Money grubber. Precious Fragrance Heavenly Monarch glanced at Datura. All right, everyone get ready. Tomorrow we'll fight. Knight Sorrow made the decision. Knight Sorrow also returned to his tent. He took out the reincarnation sword and gently wiped it. He knew that the battle in the Shenwu Great World was coming to an end. After the Fortune Gate was dealt with, only the Zhanwu dynasty would be left. Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid of the Zhanwu dynasty because their strength was on the surface. As long as they dealt with the Fortune Gate, they could go to the martial war city to break the formation. It wasn't difficult. After resting for a while, Knight Sorrow organized the troops. This time, he didn't plan to bring everyone. He only called for the furious Qilin army and all the sovereigns in the army. This time, it would be an elite battle. Knight Sorrow first brought Xian Daozi to the outskirts of the divine martial city. Uncle Xian Daozi, this is the 9 Netherworld Slaughtering God Formation's entrance. If there are any changes, immediately activate the formation. Knight Sorrow said to Xian Daozi when they arrived at the 9 Netherworld Slaughtering God Formation's entrance. Forever free of charge, SV check square root, rest assured. Your Highness, this subordinate will definitely complete the mission. Xian Daozi bowed to Knight Sorrow. In the past, Knight Sorrow was a junior. Now, he was an expert that he had to respect. Good, then let's go to war. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Knight Sorrow led a group of big shots, sovereigns, and the furious Qilin army to start the teleportation. Only one army's teleportation speed was extremely fast. They finished the teleportation in a short while. Let's go, the time to decide victory has arrived. Knight Sorrow led his people and flew towards the Fortune City after exiting the formation. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you Old Bro and Dr. L for unblocking yesterday's chapter. In order to have an environmentally friendly chat platform, we have to eliminate some hidden accounts. At the same time, we have to pave the way for the fan club. Now, the core group is accepting people. The requirement to join the group is to have enough fan points, which is to spend 188 renminbi on the book. If you meet the requirement, you can send a private message to an An or Shizi. After sending a picture as proof, you will be added to the group. Every once in a while, the core group will send gifts to fans who have reached a certain number of fan points. The higher the fan points, the more gifts you will receive. Of course, the gifts are all meaningful. Chapter 14:19. While flying, Knight Sorrow waved his arm and threw out a Holy Spirit stone, activating the 9 Nether Slaughtering God formation. He then led the group towards the Fortune City's Castellan Manor. Bai Taesong, who was meditating in a pavilion in the Wild Garden, suddenly felt the energy in the city change, becoming more oppressive. His body shook, and a golden armor covered his body. Bai Taesong held a long sword in his right hand and dashed out of the pavilion. After exiting the pavilion, Bai Taesong waved his arm, and the shining pavilion shrunk, then floated above his head and flew towards the Castellan Manor. While flying, Bai Taesong used the concentric crystal to communicate with Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, asking for help. He wasn't afraid of the Reincarnation World's allied forces. His original plan was to use the Chaos Heaven Grand Formation to trap the Reincarnation World's forces, and then use the Zhanwu Dynasty and Fortune Gate's forces to slowly chip away at them to win the World War. Now that there seemed to be a problem with the formation, Bai Taesong could only protect himself. He felt that as long as he didn't lose, the Fortune City would be safe. If he didn't lose, who would dare to stay in the Fortune Gate's territory and be killed by him one by one? When Bai Taesong arrived at the Castellan Manor, Knight Sorrow and his group had also arrived. You dare to attack? You're courting death. Bai Taesong's body shook, and the golden armor shone brightly. Origin Ama. The 9 regions' origins in Night Sorrow's spirit sea informed Night Sorrow because it could feel the origin energy above it. Night Sorrow, the treasure floating above his head is the missing part of me. I want to take it back. I must take it back. Shao Kong was excited. Does it have an artifact spirit? Night Sorrow communicated with Shao Kong through their souls. No, it doesn't have an artifact spirit, and it hasn't recognized an owner. It's just a formation activated by the other party's soul force. I will control it later, and as long as you can take it back I will merge with it, and then it will be complete. Shao Kong was very excited. What I need you to do later is to restrain that thing for me. I will kill and you will steal. Night Sorrow communicated with Shao Kong. If you want to turn the tide, you must be qualified. Night Sorrow coldly snorted after communicating with Shao Kong. I have the qualifications. Come and fight. Bai Taiching waved the long sword in his hand and looked coldly at Yi Shang and the others. You're too arrogant. Li Tianba was enraged. He waved his sword and charged towards Bai Taiching. At this moment, the people from the Shunhu dynasty had not arrived yet. He had no opponent. Then I'll kill you first. Bai Taesong didn't dodge. He rushed forward and waved his left hand. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion above his head expanded, and the will of heaven and earth appeared to suppress him. Shameless boasting. Li Tianba was very angry. He directly slashed his sword at Bai Taesong's head. At this time, Bai Taesong did something that surprised everyone. He didn't dodge, but twisted his body slightly to avoid his head, and used his shoulder to block Li Tianba's sword. As Li Tianba's sword and Bai Taesong's armor clashed, an intense golden light exploded. At this time, Bai Taesong's long sword flew up diagonally, and a sword light slashed at Li Tianba's body. Everyone's expression changed. The Origin Dao Heavenly Monarch who was closest to Li Tianhu spun his left hand, and an energy vortex appeared. Origin Dao Heavenly Monarch was fast, but Bai Taesong's sword chi was faster. It directly cut off Li Tianba's right shoulder and right arm. Strong. Bai Taesong's performance was very strong. He took Li Tianba's attack head-on and came out unscathed. This didn't make sense. The fact was right in front of everyone's eyes. There was no room for doubt. This was Bai Taesong's trump card. Night Sorrow took a step forward, blocking Bai Taesong's path. Night Sorrow, be careful. Misty Rain, who had destroyed the transmission array together with the precious fragrance Heavenly Monarch, said, Junior brother, let senior brother have a go first. Sandalwood raised his sword and stood in front of Night Sorrow. Today, this seat will be here. Let's see who can do it. Attacking my fortune gate. You guys are very bold. From today onwards, this seat will take revenge until you can't take it anymore. Haha. If you want the world war to go smoothly, just wait for your loss. Bai Taesong waved his long sword and slashed towards Sandalwood. J only V is genuine %, F others are all Z. Pirated Sandalwood took a step forward, and the murderous aura on his body exploded. He then slashed his sword towards Bai Taesong. Bai Taesong waved his long sword and began to fight. He didn't defend, but attacked with all his might. He also controlled the Fortune Immortal Pavilion to suppress Sandalwood. Passive. Sandalwood was very passive. Bai Taesong could choose not to defend, but he couldn't. There was a fundamental difference between fighting someone who didn't defend. No. His defense is too strong. It can't be broken. Qing Emperor's face was solemn. The situation was beyond everyone's expectations. Master, that's an Origin Divine artifact. It's a defensive treasure born from the Shunwu Great World's origin energy. Night Sorrow said, but his eyes didn't leave the battlefield. Sandalwood and Bai Taesong exchanged blows in the air. However, Sandalwood was on the defensive. His sword lights were ineffective against Bai Taesong. Heavenly blood-setting sun slash. Sandalwood roared and used his ultimate move. Bai Taesong dashed forward, ignoring Sandalwood's ultimate move. At the same time, he slashed a sword light towards Sandalwood at an extremely fast speed. Sandalwood, retreat! Qing Emperor shouted. However, Qing Emperor was a little too late. Sandalwood's ultimate move didn't affect Bai Taesong's soul. It only slowed down Bai Taesong. The sword light still penetrated Sandalwood's right chest and came out from his back. On the other hand, Bai Taesong was only pushed back a little by Sandalwood's sword light. Knight Sorrow rushed to the battlefield in a flash. He grabbed Sandalwood with his left hand and retreated to a safe place. "Senior brother, how are you?" Knight Sorrow asked. "He's fine. He hasn't bled for many years. I made an exception today. His tortoise shell is very hard." Sandalwood shook his body and took off his battle armor. He wiped the blood on his chest with his left hand and said, "Whoever wants to come at me together. You guys changed the array formation of Fortune City. I don't want Fortune City anymore. I'll kill to stop killing. I'll kill until you guys submit." Bai Taesong laughed heartily. After injuring the two leaders of the reincarnation world, he was extremely excited. He was sure that his strategy was right. As long as he didn't lose, as long as he continued to kill, he could turn the tide and change the outcome of the world war. At this moment, 3 people flew out of the Castellan Manor. It was Lord Shen Hu and the other 2. It seems like today's battle can solve the problem of the world war. "Bai Taesong, come at me. I want to see how strong you are." Knight Sorrow took a few steps forward with samsara in his hand. "Haha. Is there no one else in the reincarnation world? Even in Sovereign can fight. How can you guys fight a world war like this?" Bai Taesong waved his sword and laughed as he looked at the group of people from the reincarnation world. "I, Knight Sorrow, am only in Sovereign. However, I'm willing to be the pawn of the reincarnation world." Knight Sorrow said. "Speak." Third watch. Chapter 14:20. Knight Sorrow. Datura was a little worried. He took 2 steps towards Knight Sorrow. "Luo, no one can stop me on my path. I will kill anyone who tries to stop me. It's him now. Do what I told you to do." Knight Sorrow waved his left hand and blocked Datura behind him. "If you want to die, I will fulfill your wish." Bai Taesong waved his battlesword and charged towards Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow's feet trembled. His body shot out 30 feet, and he waved his samsara to block. With a loud explosion, Yi Shang's body retreated to his original position. Bai Taiching did the same, returning to his original position. Both of them returned to their original positions, but the distance they retreated was completely different. Knight Sorrow retreated 30 feet. However, Bai Taesong retreated 70 feet. In this clash, Bai Taesong was at a complete disadvantage. Knight Sorrow carried his samsara and walked to the position where he had attacked. "Perhaps your armor is very strong, but it is not invincible. I want to try." Calm and composed. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was very calm. He was like this. The more crucial the moment, the calmer he would be. With the invincible golden body of merits and his body cultivated to the peak of the invincible body, Knight Sorrow's strength was not something Bai Taesong could compare to. Just by relying on his body, Knight Sorrow could fight against a monarch. The armor is very strong. Let me tell you, this is the sky armor. It is the origin armor. It is unbreakable. Go to hell. Bai Taesong waved his sword again and charged towards Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow waved his sword. He wanted to test Bai Taesong's attack power. Another explosion rang out, and Bai Taesong was forced back again. He was at an absolute disadvantage in a head-on clash. Since he would not be at a disadvantage in a head-on clash, Knight Sorrow waved his hand and began to attack, suppressing Bai Taiching. This was because every time their weapons clashed, Bai Taiching would be repelled. After repelling Bai Taiching, Knight Sorrow quickly advanced and then attacked again. How did this happen? Knight Sorrow is so strong now? Li Tianba's right hand had already regenerated, but his complexion was not very good. After all, he had lost his blood. Knight Sorrow's body is tough and he has an absolute advantage in terms of strength. Therefore, you and the Blood Emperor will not be in a passive situation, Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao said. Why are you still standing there? Kill these 3. At this moment, Datura was enraged. He waved his hollow blade towards Heaven Lord Shen Hu. The others followed the original plan and rushed towards Heaven Monarch Shen Hu and the other 2. Let's go! Heaven Lord Shen Hu roared. Following which, the battle blade in his hand slashed vertically and horizontally. Waves of blade aura shot out, stopping Dachira and the others from approaching. He then threw out a few array discs and 2 jade bottles. The moment the jade bottles flew out, they exploded. Black smoke. Within the black smoke, there were silver-threaded worms. Retreat! Those are soul-devouring silver worms. Qing Emperor roared. Following which, he waved his sword and tore the space apart. Energy wrapped around the black smoke and silver worms were sent into the space. Update. Fastest Z. The others also helped. At the same time, they executed spatial banishment and banished the black smoke and soul-devouring silver worms into the space crack. Aluo, don't chase! Night Sorrow shouted at Dachira, who was about to give chase. Although Dachira was unwilling to let Heaven Lord Shen Hu and the other two escape, he still listened to Night Sorrow's words and stopped. After dealing with the dark poisonous smoke and soul-devouring silver worms, the leaders of the reincarnation world floated in the air and watched Night Sorrow and Bai Taisong fight. Night Sorrow and Bai Taisong were fighting head-on. Night Sorrow didn't defend himself. Instead, he swung his reincarnation sword and blocked every attack. As long as their weapons clashed, Bai Taisong would be sent flying. Even if he didn't defend himself, he couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow who didn't defend himself. Night Sorrow and Bai Taisong continued to fight in the air. The fight was very intense. After blocking Bai Taisong, Night Sorrow didn't use his ultimate move. He didn't even attack. He was looking for an opportunity to kill. Bai Taisong was very annoyed. Night Sorrow was very strong. He couldn't restrain himself. Instead, he was restrained. No matter how he attacked, Night Sorrow would take it head-on. Night Sorrow countered his attacks with inaction. Bai Taisong's willpower, rules, and attributes couldn't suppress Night Sorrow. In the face of Night Sorrow's overbearing strength, he couldn't do anything. Damn it! Damn it! Bai Taisong was furious that he couldn't take down Night Sorrow. If he couldn't take down Night Sorrow, he wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. After cursing, Bai Taisong's body swayed. His clone appeared and attacked Night Sorrow together with his original body. He wanted to find a flaw in Night Sorrow's defense and kill Night Sorrow. Do you only have your clone? I want to see how you're going to kill me today. Night Sorrow's body surged with energy. His clone appeared with Sky Splitter. It was the protective energy of the Dragon Cauldron. Fighting in pairs, fighting in pairs, fighting in pairs, fighting in pairs, fighting in pairs. Yi Shang and Bai Taiching's original bodies and doppelgangers flew through the air. Night Sorrow used his old tactic. He planned to drag it out as long as he could. He relied on his physical strength to fight and didn't consume much energy. Commander, what if you don't use your ultimate move? Li Tianba was a little anxious. Don't talk. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord turned and glanced at Li Tianba. Suppress! At this moment, Bai Taisong roared. He controlled the Fortune Immortal Pavilion, which was originally protecting his head, to press down on Night Sorrow. I've been waiting for you for a long time to play with this. Little Sky, come. Night Sorrow's soul force burst forth to assist Little Sky. After leaving Night Sorrow's body, Little Sky instantly became as tall as the clouds. Then, a door at the bottom opened. An energy whirlpool appeared and pulled the Fortune Immortal Pavilion into the space-time pagoda like a tornado. Ah! What are you doing? The Fortune Immortal Pavilion was restrained and pulled out of control. Bai Taisong was anxious because it was his supreme treasure to assist in cultivation. At this moment, Night Sorrow's original body's aura changed drastically. He directly used the Great Emperor Reincarnation / His clone also used the Great Death Annihilation / Two absolute arts with completely different attributes? Sima Tiancheng's eyes widened. The others didn't have time to sigh because Night Sorrow and Bai Taisong had reached the critical moment to determine the winner. Go to hell! Bai Taisong didn't dodge at all. He waved his long sword and stabbed towards Night Sorrow's chest. Bai Taisong was confident because even a Heaven Master couldn't break through his defense. Night Sorrow was a monarch. So what if he had great strength? His attack power was still at the monarch level. Their weapons hit each other at the same time. Penetrate! Bai Taisong's long sword stabbed into Night Sorrow's body. However, it only pierced a part of Night Sorrow's body before it was blocked by the energy and flesh in Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow's reincarnation directly pierced through Bai Taesong's chest. The invincible defense of the Tong Tian battle armor was penetrated by Night Sorrow's reincarnation. It was hard to say whether the Origin God or the Origin God armor was stronger. However, Night Sorrow used the void energy. At the last moment, he used the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash, which contained the essence of void energy, and pierced through the Tong Tian battle armor. Speak. Fourth update. Today's update is complete. Chapter 14:21. After injuring each other with their weapons, Night Sorrow and Bai Taesong punched each other with their left hands. Then, the two of them were separated by the sputtering energy. Bai Taesong's golden armor turned blood red. His chest was dyed red with blood, and his face turned pale. This was because Samsara had the ability to attack the soul. After separating, Night Sorrow rushed forward. His original body and clone continued to attack Bai Taesong. At this time, the space-time pagoda was controlling the immortal creation pavilion and pulling it inside. Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't give Bai Taesong the chance to react. Void Extreme Kill. Space Revolving Dragon Kill. Night Sorrow's original body and clone used their mystic skills and attacked Bai Taesong's original body. He wanted to kill Bai Taesong's original body. Bai Taesong was very shocked. This was because the piercing heaven battle armor couldn't block Night Sorrow's attack. When they fought again, Bai Taesong became cautious. He no longer only attacked and didn't defend. He wanted to defend against Night Sorrow's attack. Under such circumstances, Bai Taesong's original reckless momentum no longer existed. With the change in tactics, Bai Taesong was a little safer. However, he was in a passive position. He was suppressed by Night Sorrow and was at a disadvantage in terms of speed and strength. After another round of attacks, Night Sorrow waved his left hand and recalled Xiaofan, who had already collected the Immortal Creation Pavilion, back into his body. With Xiaofang's return, Night Sorrow changed his tactics. Didn't Bai Taesong rely on his high defense to fight head-on? Then let him have a taste of this feeling. With the space-time treasure pagoda and dragon cauldron protecting his main body and doppelganger, as well as his powerful body, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid of getting hit by a sword or two. As Night Sorrow changed his tactics, Bai Taesong became more and more passive. However, Bai Taesong was not a simple character. Aside from the Tong Tian armor, he was also one of the strongest among the Sky Pillars. Now, he was relying on his battle experience to fight Night Sorrow. At this time, Sima Tiancheng and the others were very excited. Bai Taesong, who they were helpless against, was now completely suppressed by Night Sorrow. Just you wait. One day, I will definitely kill you. Bai Taesong didn't plan to fight anymore. He shouted and retreated. He didn't have a way to deal with Night Sorrow, so even if he continued to fight, it wouldn't change anything. Trying to run? The Red Emperor attacked, stabbing his sword directly at Bai Taesong's chest. You are not qualified to stop me. Bai Taesong turned around and used the Tong Tian armor to block the Red Emperor's sword. Then, he continued to flash away. Night Sorrow's body flashed, and he continued to chase. At this time, Bai Taesong's body flashed with a green light, and his speed suddenly increased. Relying on the defense of the Tong Tian armor, he ignored the attacks of the Red Emperor and the Qing Emperor and rushed out of the encirclement of the Sky Pillars. Go to hell! Night Sorrow's speed couldn't catch up with Bai Taesong's. With a wave of his arm, Samsara instantly appeared behind Bai Taesong's back. Block! Bai Taesong's doppelganger instantly blocked Samsara's flight path. Bang! With a loud explosion, Samsara's energy directly blasted Bai Taesong's doppelganger into pieces. Night Sorrow I Bai Taesong, and you are irreconcilable. Because of the Tong Tian armor, Bai Taesong didn't care about other people's attacks. Therefore, he increased his speed to the limit, and several people disappeared. After retrieving Samsara, Night Sorrow looked in the direction Bai Taesong had fled, and shook his head helplessly. I still couldn't kill him. Failure on the verge of success. It's enough. Defeating him is enough for us to win the realm war. Sima Tiancheng said. Only one authentic copy, the rest are pirated copies. Not bad. Many thanks for everyone's support. I've obtained what I needed the most, Yishan said. Then, Night Sorrow had the angry Qilin army ransack the Fortune Gate City Lord's mansion, as well as the wild garden's courtyard. After doing all this, Knight Sorrow left with his people. Knight Sorrow first arrived at the Divine Martial City, and after activating the modified Divine Martial City's defensive array, he led his people to besiege the Martial Imperial City's main city, the Martial War City. Divine Martial Heavenly Lord. Listen carefully. If we can break Bai Taesong's defensive array, we can also break your Martial War City's defensive array. Knight Sorrow stood on the back of the Ice Qilin army and shouted. Knight Sorrow, what you want is nothing more than the Realm War. Isn't it enough for us to withdraw from the Divine Martial City? Heavenly Lord Shen, whose voice sounded. Not enough. The Realm War was initiated by your Shenwu Great World. It's natural for us to win the Realm War. However, your Zhanwu dynasty started the war, and you are the leader of the evil. You must pay the price. Do you really want me to break your city? Knight Sorrow roared. Then what do you want? Kill all of us? Heavenly Lord Shen, whose words were a little angry. Third Emperor, come out and apologize to my master. Then, the Zhanwu dynasty will take out 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones as compensation. After the Realm War is over, we will leave. Otherwise, I will raze the Martial War City to the ground. Knight Sorrow stated his request. There was no response. Heavenly Lord Shen, who did not speak again. Set up camp. Knight Sorrow ordered the army to set up camp. After ordering the army to set up camp, he looked at Sima Tiancheng and the Red Emperor. Can the two of you take some people to the Divine Martial City? After you go, we just want stability. If we don't solve the Zhanwu dynasty's problem, we will not end the Realm War. Don't worry, we will handle this matter well. Just make sure that the resources that belong to us are not taken away. Sima Tiancheng said. This is my communication crystal. If that Bai Taesong appears, send me a message. I will rush over immediately. If he dares to come out, I will kill him. Knight Sorrow said. How would he dare to come out? The last time he blocked you, his avatar was destroyed. If he fights with you now, what will he use to block you? Datura said. It's fine as long as the Divine Martial City is stable. The Zhanwu dynasty and the other two do not have any trump cards. Let's trap them first and give them some time. Knight Sorrow said. The Reincarnation Worlds Alliance army set up camp and completely surrounded the Martial War City. Datura arranged for people to set up a tent. Then, he called for Knight Sorrow to enter. You are injured today. Is it serious? Datura asked as he looked at Knight Sorrow's chest. It's fine. You know how strong my body is. Today's sword was just an external injury. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Then, Datura helped Knight Sorrow change his clothes. Knight Sorrow's chest was indeed not injured. You have shown your strength in today's battle. Whether it is in the Reincarnation World or the Shenwu Great World, your name will spread far and wide. Soon, even the Xuanhuan Great World will know about this. Datura looked at Knight Sorrow with admiration and love in his eyes. This is not important. It's good that we won the Realm War. Before today's battle, I was not confident. After the battle, although I did not kill him, I solved a big problem. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Now that Heavenly Lord Shen Hu and the others can't do anything, the Realm War will end soon. After the Realm War ends, we can live a more stable life. I said I wanted to give you a child. Datura's face blushed. Okay. However, there is one more thing to take care of. I need to go to the White Tiger constellation. I need to solve my master's problem. Knight Sorrow said. Before, he did not have the confidence. Knight Sorrow had to wait to solve this problem. But now, he was not afraid of the Sky Master. He naturally could go to the White Tiger constellation. You can go now, but you need to plan. Datura said. Solving the problem of the Qing Emperor was Knight Sorrow's sore point. Datura knew this. The two drank tea casually. Then, Datura looked at Knight Sorrow. How is your heavenly artifact? Say first update. Chapter 1422. I don't know. Shao Kong isn't reacting now, but I can feel some changes in the space-time treasure pagoda. It's probably in the midst of the fusion. This is a good thing. I don't have to worry about repairing it. Shao Kong can solve it himself, Night Sorrow said. At this time, in Night Sorrow's Spirit Sea, the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda released the Immortal Pavilion of Fortune. Then, the Immortal Pavilion of Fortune appeared at the top of the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda, becoming the tip of the pagoda. Night Sorrow knew that this was the fusion and change. When everything was done, the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda would become the Haotian Godly Pagoda, a complete heavenly artifact. The big shots were also drinking and celebrating. A great victory. Although they didn't kill Bai Tai Song in this battle, defeating him was enough. Defeating him would solve the most unstable factor. It was a great victory. I'm convinced. If it weren't for Night Sorrow, we wouldn't have been able to defeat Bai Tai Song. That guy's tortoise shell is too strong. We couldn't have broken it, Li Tianba said as he drank. That's true. That guy's armor is too tough. It really can't be broken. When it came to the sky-piercing battle armor, Sandalwood felt powerless. Didn't Night Sorrow say that it's the origin battle armor? It was nurtured by the origin of Shenwu Great World. Its defense is naturally terrifying. Fortunately, Night Sorrow's attack power is indeed strong. He pierced through the armor in one blow. In the battle between the origin and the origin battle armor, the origin had the upper hand, Red Emperor said. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord shook his head. It's a contradiction. It's hard to say who's stronger. Night Sorrow's attributes are strong enough. That's why Bai Tai Song couldn't block him. Watching that battle is really exciting, but we don't even have the qualifications to fight. If we can't break through Bai Tai Song's defense, there's no way we can fight. If we can stop him from escaping, Night Sorrow will definitely be able to kill him, Red Emperor said. He felt a little depressed when he mentioned this. Actually, from another perspective, killing Bai Tai Song doesn't make much of a difference. Night Sorrow has gotten what he needs, and has also laid the most solid foundation for victory, Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao said. We've almost won the realm war this time. What's left is actually the finishing touches. In addition, we have to tell Night Sorrow that no matter what the Zhanwu dynasty decides, the Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire must be handed over. The traitor must be beheaded. Sima Tiancheng said. If the war against the Shenwu Great World was for the sake of justice, there wasn't much hatred. However, the Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire was different. He was a despicable person and a traitor of the reincarnation world. No one would allow him to live. Everyone agreed with Sima Tiancheng's words. This was about face. The Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire was the disgrace of the reincarnation world. If he wasn't dealt with, the reincarnation world would lose face. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow came to the tent where Sky Prime and the others were resting. Everyone, don't be anxious. Let's wait and see what decision the Shenwu dynasty makes. If we're not satisfied, then we'll continue the war, Night Sorrow said after sitting down. Yesterday, we talked about the Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire. This time, we've trapped the Martial War City. They must pay the price. The Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire must be handed over, Sima Tiancheng said. The third overlord must come out and apologize. 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones must be paid. In addition, the Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire must be handed over. These are the conditions they must fulfill. If they can't, then we'll kill them. In fact, the result is inevitable. Can they withstand the pressure? The 4 Heavenly Lords want to fight to the death with us. If they can do it, then they won't seal the city, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's right. They will definitely compromise. I don't believe that they will dare to fight to the death with us, Qing Emperor said. At this time, the 3 tigers were also discussing in the City Lord Mansion of the Martial War City. Second brother, third brother, we've lost. When we went there, we saw how Bai Taiching injured 2 big shots. We're no match for him. We can't beat him, but the reincarnation world can withstand it. Heavenly Lord Shen, whose expression was very unnatural. He had always been overbearing and thought that he was the lord of the Shenwu Great World. But this time, he was severely slapped in the face. Big brother, we understand the situation. Third brother, you have to suffer this time. So be it if you apologize. We cultivators can afford to lose. Also, if you don't apologize, I'm afraid this matter won't end, Heavenly Lord of Flames said. Heavenly Lord of Flames nodded. He felt that he was really unlucky. In the past, no one dared to go against his will. Previously, Qing Emperor didn't give him face. This time, he lost a doppelganger. Now, he still had to apologize. But how could he not apologize? We have to give them 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones. If we don't, they won't let it go, Heavenly Lord of Flames sighed. If they took out 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones, the Zhanwu dynasty would suffer a great loss. 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones. We have some in the treasury of the City Lord Mansion. It will be enough if we pool it together, Heavenly Lord of Flames said. There's one more thing. They haven't mentioned it now, but they will mention it eventually. They will definitely want the Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire. If that guy runs away, we will have to pay for it, Heavenly Lord of Flames God said. Then we will take him down and hand him over to the Reincarnation World's Alliance Army, Heavenly Lord of Flames God said. There's no need to do anything. He is interested in one of my concubines. They have been flirting with each other. If we arrange for her to poison him, we can take him down easily, Heavenly Lord of Flames God said. Then, Heavenly Lord of Flames God called for a woman and took out a jade bottle. Whether it's water or wine, we have to make that guy drink it. If you can't do it, I will annihilate your entire clan, Heavenly Lord of Flames God said with a pair of tiger eyes. The woman, who was dressed very scantily, took the elixir and retreated in fear. At this moment, Heavenly Lord of Thunder and Fire was in a courtyard. He was feeling uneasy. Night Sorrow's voice was transmitted through energy and he heard it. He was now worried that Heavenly Lord of Flames God would choose to compromise. If that happened, he would have to run away. He knew that the Reincarnation World wouldn't let him go. At this moment, Heavenly Lord of Flames God's concubine came in with a pot of tea. My husband was busy with the matters of the martial war city and didn't have time to come over. I am here to see if my lord needs anything. The woman placed the tea in front of Heavenly Lord of Flames God. Great! Great! Heavenly Lord of Flames God nodded. Recently, he had been suppressing his emotions. Some emotions that he didn't have in the past had appeared. He was very interested in this woman. After drinking the tea, Heavenly Lord of Flames God's soul sank. You poisoned me. Why? After saying 2 sentences, Heavenly Lord of Flames God fainted. When he woke up again, Heavenly Lord of Flames God realized that his cultivation was sealed. He felt a piercing pain when he moved. There were chains made of iron crystals on his back and neck. Heavenly Lord of Flames God, what are you doing? What kind of poison did you give me? Heavenly Lord of Flames God roared when he saw Heavenly Lord of Flames God in the courtyard. There's no other way. Night Sorrow is a merit sage. He could become a merit great sage at any time. There's no benefit in going against him. I don't want to fight anymore, Heavenly Lord of Flames God said. Speak. Second update. Thank you, Old Bro and Director P for unblocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 1423. Zhang / unsealed. You shameless bastard. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch cursed. This is the way of the world. No one is shameless. Didn't you betray the Reincarnation World as well? You don't have the qualifications to call me shameless. Heaven Monarch Shen Hu said. If you dare to harm me, I will never forgive you. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch's eyes were filled with anger. You won't spare me? Both the main body and the clone have been sealed by me. The clone doesn't even have the chance to leave the main body. What are you bragging about? Third brother, bring him along. We will go and meet the people from the Reincarnation World Alliance Army. They are able to break the formation but they are still waiting. They are giving us a chance and don't want to push things too far. Heaven Lord Shen Hu said. Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger grabbed the iron chain and carried Lord of Heaven Thunder Fire like a monkey. He followed Lord of Heaven Divine Tiger out of the City Lord residence. Heaven Lord Shen Hu brought his 2 brothers, Lai Yen and Lai Hu, and flew out of the city. Third brother, since we've lost this time, we can only wrong you. Whether or not we fight in the future is a matter for the future. Lord God Hu said. He was reminding Lord Fierce Tiger that one of the terms of the peace negotiation was that Lord Fierce Tiger had to apologize. If he didn't, the Reincarnation World Alliance Army would not retreat. The Realm War had started because of Lord Fierce Tiger. Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, Raging Flame Lord of Heaven, and Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven brought Thunderfire Lord of Heaven to the Alliance camp. At this moment, Someone notified Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow arrived at the command tent of the Alliance army. At this moment, all the heaven-supporting big heads were present. "I'll bring it over, then we can talk," Night Sorrow said. "No, you're the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. How can you just come out and greet me?" Qing Emperor stood up and refused. "I'll go and see what they want." Li Tianba, who had recovered, stood up. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't care whether he welcomed them or not, but in fact, he was the face of the world of samsara. Moments later, Li Tianba brought Heaven Monarch Shen Hu and the other two into the tent. After entering the tent, Heaven Monarch Shen Hu cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow. The Lord of Flames was the same. His posture was also very humble. When it came to Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger, he directly threw Lord of Thunder Fire into the corner of the tent. Then, he cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow and the Qing Emperor and said, "I, Fierce Tiger, failed to see the situation clearly. I, Fierce Tiger, have let down the Qing Emperor and the two worlds. Everyone, take a seat. When we fight we talk about it. When we talk about it, let's sit down and talk calmly." Night Sorrow pointed at the empty seat in the tent and said. After cupping their hands towards Night Sorrow again, Heaven Monarch Shen Hu and the other two sat down. "I believe that in the realm war, it doesn't matter who is right or wrong. The important thing is that we lost. Therefore, I will do whatever you ask. Here are 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Also, this guy is a traitor of the world of samsara. I will send him over as well." Heaven Monarch Shen Hu cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow and placed a storage ring on the table in front of him. "I, Night Sorrow, agree with Heaven Monarch Shen Hu's dominance. Now that we have won, the realm war is over. We will retreat and not make things difficult for Heaven Monarch Shen Hu or the Shenwu Great World." Night Sorrow said. "Very good. Commander Yi is young and capable. I, Shen Hu, am impressed. After the realm war, as long as Commander Yi comes to the Shenwu Great World, you will be a distinguished guest of the Zhanwu dynasty. I will also discipline my two brothers strictly when I return." Heaven Monarch Shen Hu said. "The only authentic one. The others were all pirated copies. Also, Heaven Monarch Shen Hu, please don't make things difficult for those forces that withdrew from the realm war. They withdrew from the realm war as a form of respect for me, Night Sorrow. I can't bear to see them being troubled because of this. Most importantly, they did it for the safety of their region." Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, "As long as they don't bully the Zhanwu dynasty, the Zhanwu dynasty won't find trouble with them. Actually, the biggest threat in the Shenwu Great World is Bai Taisong. I have seen his combat strength that day. If he wants to cause trouble, it will be the real trouble for the Shenwu Ocean World." Heaven Monarch Shen Hu sighed. With Bai Taisong's current combat strength, Heaven Monarch Shen Hu was no match for him. "Everything is decided by the heavenly Tao," Night Sorrow said. After chatting for a while, Heaven Monarch Shen Hu and the other two left the United Forces camp. Night Sorrow looked at Qing Emperor and the others. "Let the army commander bring the troops back. Let's go to the Shenwu City and place our war flag at the Shenwu City Lord Mansion. Then, the realm war will be over." Night Sorrow said. "Okay." Qing Emperor nodded. Then, the United Forces left the Shenwu City under the leadership of their respective commanders. They teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain and returned to the Reincarnation Great World. When Night Sorrow and the others arrived at the Shenwu City, they didn't stand on ceremony. They went through a round of looting. When they were almost done, they placed the war flag of the Reincarnation World Army on the Lord Mansion. As soon as the war flag was placed, the weather changed and it started to rain heavily. The rain poured down. This was the sad song after the Shenwu Great World lost the realm war. It was a sad song after the war. There was no choice. Since they made the decision to start the realm war, they had to bear the consequences. They had to bear the consequences even if they failed. Night Sorrow felt apologetic. It could be said that he was the one who led the direction of the realm war. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and bowed in the direction of the Shenwu fighting heaven. He knew that was where the origin of Shenwu was. After apologizing, Night Sorrow looked at the Shenwu Great World again. He nodded to Heaven Monarch Yuan Dao and the others and said, "Let's go back." Everyone nodded to Night Sorrow. The realm war ended smoothly. When they arrived at the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow realized that the army had all retreated. Everything was packed and only a few people were left to guard the camp. After everyone was teleported, Night Sorrow and the leaders of the reincarnation world brought up the rear and teleported back to the reincarnation world. As soon as Night Sorrow stood on the ground of the reincarnation world, a golden light shone from the sky and landed on Night Sorrow's body. It was the golden light of merit. Night Sorrow led the reincarnation world army to victory in the realm war. He even turned the tide twice and won the battle of the strongest monarchs. He also restrained Bai Taesong. No one could deny that he was the biggest contributor to this realm war. As the golden light of merit entered his body, Night Sorrow meditated on the spot. He activated the all-encompassing true body and absorbed all the golden light of merit into his body. Datura and Jean Tan stood beside Night Sorrow and protected Night Sorrow. Each of them also received the fate of the reincarnation world, but it was not as obvious as Night Sorrow's. Everyone, let's take a seat in the City Lord's mansion. There are some things that we need to deal with. We need to bring back the resources that we collected later on, Qing Emperor said. There's no hurry. Night Sorrow contributed greatly to the success of this realm war. Let's all protect him and do our best, Heaven Monarch Yuan Dao said. Qing Emperor nodded. He knew that this was a kind gesture. The golden light of merit in Night Sorrow's body became brighter and brighter. Both his divine ocean and his body were filled with the golden light of merit. Speak. The third watch has arrived. Chapter 1424. Zhang / Unsealed. 4 hours later, Night Sorrow stood up. How is it? Datura asked. Just a little bit more. I can feel it. I'm very close, Night Sorrow said. He naturally knew what Datura was asking about. Whether he was the deluxe merit Grand Sage. What are you two talking about? Lord of Precious Fragrance asked. Aluo asked me if I was the deluxe merit Grand Sage. I said just a little bit more, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I'm looking forward to seeing you become the deluxe merit Grand Sage, Lord of Precious Fragrance said. As they chatted, the group entered the Castellan's residence. Qing Emperor sat on the main seat. We won the realm war. Thank you all for your hard work. The resources we obtained later on are with me. Please share them. Qing Emperor took out the compensation from the Zhanwu dynasty and the resources obtained from Shenwu City. Just do as you wish. Actually, we fought to make a name for the reincarnation great world. The resources are secondary. However, I've heard that Yi Shang is a realm lord and has his own world. This is something that needs to be developed. We're all old powers and don't lack that bit of resources. Give Yi Shang one for himself. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. That's right. Night Sorrow has distributed the resources obtained from the previous battles to the army. Those commanders even bragged about it. They felt that it was a blessing to fight with Night Sorrow, Sima Tianchang said after glancing at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, don't reject it. Actually, everyone has a scale in their hearts. You took on too much responsibility for winning the realm war. Therefore you should take this share. Qing Emperor's dynasty sent 3 giants. Including you, it's 4. It's not reasonable for you to take 1 share, Red Emperor said when he saw Night Sorrow standing up to reject. Take it. You'll have a big family and business in the future, so you'll have to support them. You can't do it without resources, Datura said. Datura, I really have to hand it to you. What should I say? Night Sorrow's family is big. Isn't his family your family? Precious Fragrance said with a smile. That's true. It's our family. We need to support our family. We'll keep it, Datura said. Night Sorrow, you really need a housekeeper. Lord Precious Fragrance smiled. Then it's settled. Also, we didn't say anything about the Celestial Sect last time. We'll follow the old plan. If they act recklessly, we'll go to war and eliminate them, Qing Emperor said. CR9 Original Chapter 3. No one had any objections. In other words, the matter of the Celestial Sect was tantamount to an alliance. What about him? Red Emperor pointed at the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire, who was being held by the guards of the City Lord Mansion. We'll kill him in front of the Samsara Palace. I can tolerate some mistakes, but I can't tolerate betrayal of the world of Samsara. Qing Emperor said. Qing Shangjuan, you'll die a horrible death. Hearing that Qing Emperor was going to kill him, the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire cursed. How dare you talk nonsense? Master, I'll take care of it. Zhan Tan got up and left the City Lord Mansion with the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire. This meant that the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire was dead. He had to pay the price for doing something. City Lord Qing, I still have something to say. This time, I'll send my avatar to fight. It's not that I'm not going all out. It's because the seal of Yuan Dao Tian has to be suppressed. Or maybe you think that I'm a little stronger. I won't hide it. I've been using energy to suppress the seal for years. It's impossible not to condense my energy. But in recent years, the pressure has been increasing. If we can't suppress it, a war will break out. So, we have to be prepared for war. Heavenly Lord of Origins said. This concerns the entire world of samsara. As long as you're a responsible person, you'll be responsible. Don't worry about that. Qing Emperor nodded. Night Sorrow. Go home and spend time with your family. When you're free, come visit Yuan Daotian. You're different from us. We're old and have no family. I envy you. Heavenly Lord of Origins said. Okay, I'll definitely go when I'm free. Night Sorrow is young and inexperienced. You should go out more and broaden your horizons. Night Sorrow nodded. Yes, the world is big. You can go anywhere you want. Heavenly Lord of Origins said. Night Sorrow's power was recognized by everyone who saw him fight. They even understood that he was no longer Night Sorrow's opponent. Not to mention whether or not he could kill a Sky Master. A Sky Master couldn't kill Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Return to the 9 territories world first? Qing Emperor asked. Yes, I'll return to the 9 territories world first. After a few days of rest, I'll go to the White Tiger territory. Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. I'm doing well. Didn't I go out to fight this time? Qing Emperor said. He knew that Night Sorrow took this very seriously. I understand. Night Sorrow didn't argue. Some things were better left to do. After this realm war, the generals of the 9 Heavens army have been tempered. You don't need to do everything yourself. If there are important decisions, you can make them yourself. Qing Emperor said again. Although they hadn't known each other for long, Qing Emperor understood Night Sorrow. He knew that Night Sorrow had a strong sense of responsibility. As long as it concerned him, he would do his best. This gave Qing Emperor a lot of pressure. At this time, Sandalwood returned. Take care of that guy. I've seen your battle this time. You're still not calm enough. You still need to train your mind. Interact with others more. This will perfect your personality. Qing Emperor looked at Sandalwood and said. Master, I'll be fine if I interact with junior brother more. Sandalwood smiled. Qing Emperor nodded helplessly. He was very pleased with his 2 disciples' achievements, but he was also worried about the future. He hoped that they would go even further. After attending the celebration banquet, Night Sorrow left. As for other things, he didn't want to ask about the arrangements of the world of reincarnation. Datura was still talking to the other big shots. Night Sorrow strolled around Reincarnation City and came to the Reincarnation Palace. You're here. The moment Night Sorrow came to the Reincarnation Palace, the source of reincarnation appeared. Sorry to disturb you, Senior. I'm not here to cultivate. I'm just here to take a walk. I have to settle some things before coming back to cultivate. Night Sorrow said. Yes, it's time to settle down. More haste, less speed. There are some drawbacks to cultivating at a high speed. You contributed greatly to the realm war this time. It's a pity that you didn't become the virtuous great sage. The source of Reincarnation Palace said. That's not important. I won't force some things. Night Sorrow is satisfied with the victory of the realm war, the prosperity of the world of reincarnation, and the stability of the world of reincarnation. Night Sorrow said. As for merits, it's not up to me to decide, especially when it comes to the virtuous great sage level. That's the judgment of the heavenly axiom. The virtuous great sage belongs to the boundless world. Therefore, it's not easy to take this step. You need an opportunity. However, I think you'll reach this level soon. Very soon. The source of Reincarnation Palace said. Speak. The fourth update is here. Today's update is complete. I'm sorry that I didn't explode in the past few days. Maybe it's because the word count is too high, or maybe it's because I'm not in a good state. Anyway, it's my fault that I didn't explode. Actually, I've been under pressure recently. I've written and deleted. Sometimes, I can't finish a chapter in 4 hours. I don't want to write too much. Otherwise, I'll be sorry to my brothers and sisters who support me. Please forgive me. Chapter 14:25. Then, Knight Sorrow learned some things from the origin of the world of reincarnation. The body of merit and the merit saint could be achieved in a world. The origin of the world would recognize you as long as you contributed to the world and millions of living beings. However, to become a merit saint, you had to be bestowed by the heavenly way of the greater world. In other words, if Knight Sorrow wanted to become a merit saint, the origin of the world of reincarnation couldn't do anything. I understand. Thank you for helping me strengthen the reincarnation armor so that I could defeat the opponent who had the origin armor, Knight Sorrow said. Because you contributed to the victory of the realm war, I want to reward you. You won't be restricted by time when you cultivate in the reincarnation palace. Of course, you might not need much time to reach the perfected will, the origin of the world of reincarnation said. After chatting with the origin of reincarnation for a while, Knight Sorrow left and walked around the reincarnation city casually. At this time, Datura came to Knight Sorrow. Everyone was discussing something. They wanted to ask for your opinion on some things, but you weren't here, Datura said. I'm not the leader of a force. I'm just the prince of the Qing Emperor's dynasty and the husband of the Dark Dominator. Those things have nothing to do with me, Knight Sorrow said. It has something to do with you. Everyone knows that you don't care about the development of your force but your own cultivation. So they decided to give you a share of the cultivation time in the reincarnation palace, Datura said. That's fine. Even if I don't need it, 9th senior sister, Chuyu, 6th senior sister, and father will need it, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Why don't you need it? You're a mid-level monarch. You still have a lot of room for improvement, Datura said. Here's the thing. The origin of reincarnation thinks that I contributed a lot in this realm war. I won't be restricted when I cultivate in the reincarnation palace, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Haha. Not bad. You don't have to cultivate anymore. Let's go home. Datura grabbed Knight Sorrow's arm and said, Okay, let's go home. Knight Sorrow nodded with a smile. Then, the two of them took the teleportation array back to the 9-domain world and the city in the sky. Knight Sorrow's return was a joyous occasion for Sky City. Of course, the rest of the 9-domain world didn't know about it. Qing Emperor's situation was not bad. Knight Sorrow was not in a hurry, so he stayed at home with his parents and wife. His 2 children had already gone out to train. Knight Sorrow's original body accompanied his wife, while his clone went to the former Clear Sky City and the current 9-region city to set up the 9 underworld slaughtering divine dragon tiger array. He had been cultivating diligently and felt that he had let his wife down, so he decided to stay at home. In the 2nd month after Knight Sorrow's return, the 9 secret slaughtering god dragon tiger array was completed by Knight Sorrow. The skeleton of the mystical ice tiger king was sitting on a mountain peak 100 miles away from the heaven-sealing palace. Its jade-colored body was emitting light, suppressing everything here. It was responding to the dragon array of the city in the sky. Although the 2 arrays were far apart, there was a connection between the Yin array and the Yang array. They were one. Knight Sorrow's clone in the heaven-sealing great array could activate the 2 arrays. It was very safe. Knight Sorrow's original body accompanied his wife. Xueshi had returned from the reincarnation world and had become a king. She was the 6th king of the 9-domain world. Some time ago, Long Xianxing had entered the king realm. Currently, there were many kings in the 9-domain world. The first was naturally Knight Sorrow, the second was Zhu Jiuyin, the third was Wu Lingfei, the fourth was Yi Qianhua, and the 5th was Long Xianxing. Knight Sorrow was very happy with such a situation. This was a sign of prosperity. Xikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi were still in the Sage King realm. After all, their foundations were not strong enough, and they had not cultivated for long. Other than accompanying his wife, Knight Sorrow would also chat with his father. He would also accompany Old Gu to fish and drink wine. Night Sorrow also went to the Medicine Valley and Bamboo Garden City to chat with his senior brothers. Night Sorrow had also gone to Bamboo Garden City for a stroll. He was a nostalgic person. As he rested, Night Sorrow's state of mind became more stable. In the past, although there did not seem to be any disadvantages to cultivating at a high speed, there were still some problems. The peaceful life now was beneficial to Night Sorrow. After Night Sorrow rested for half a year, good news really came. Yang Lei and Datura were both pregnant. This made Night Sorrow overjoyed. It was not that he wanted many children, but he did not want his wife to have any regrets. Chuyu and Aoi both had children. Although Yang Lei did not say it, she still had some regrets in her heart. Datura also wanted a child. Now that things were like this, their lives were complete. Xueshi, don't worry. I think the heavens are fair. Everything that should be there will be. Also, I believe that we will be blessed by the heavens, Night Sorrow said to Xueshi at the family banquet. Yes, in the past, I was a little lacking. But after I met you, I did not do anything that would make me feel guilty. I have always paid attention to my morals and integrity. Even if I don't have children, Qingyan, Yujun and the child that is about to come will still be my children, right? Xueshi smiled. You need to pay attention to your body's cultivation. Aluo is talented and has a strong body. Senior sister Jio has also been cultivating her body these past few years, so this time has been quite successful, Night Sorrow said. Yang Lei's innate talent was her body. Back in the day, only she and Yu Yongyu were able to cultivate the Medicine Valley's heaven covering hand. Over the past few years, Night Sorrow had given Yang Lei some resources to strengthen her body. She had also used a lot of life essence, so her body was now at the sacred level. She was quite lucky to have a strong body, so she was now pregnant. I understand. Night Sorrow, what are you doing? Our family is full of good news. Let's not talk about anything else, Xueshi smiled. Night Sorrow, who had originally planned to go to the White Tiger territory, put his plans on hold. He wanted to stay at home with his wife and wait for the birth of their child. Night Sorrow then went to the Tianding Gate to take a look, because his master, Yu Yongyu, was there. Night Sorrow's arrival caused the Tianding Gate to be in an uproar. At this time, all the cultivators knew that the person with the biggest fist in the Tianding Gate was Night Sorrow. Although Night Sorrow didn't try to compete, the truth was there, and all the cultivators respected the truth. The Tianding King brought the elders of the Tianding Gate to visit Night Sorrow. In a world where the strong were respected, strength was everything. The Tianding King was now a 6-star king. There was still a large gap between him and Night Sorrow. Chu Danxian and her attendant, Tang Yuan, also arrived. The two of them were very awkward, because the scenes of them making things difficult for Night Sorrow were still vivid in their minds. Night Sorrow didn't put on any airs, because he was a very easygoing person. In addition, he cultivated the impenetrable body, so his aura didn't leak at all. Commander Yi, after you went to the reincarnation great world, some of the cultivators from the heaven mystic world went there as well. Beidou Sovereign King went as well. Hence there are some things that we all know. You are our pride. Sovereign King Tianding said. Speak first update. Chapter 14:26. Night Sorrow fought for the 9 Firmament World Group against the Reincarnation World, opening up the situation in the Reincarnation World. Now, many cultivators of the 9 Firmament World Group had gone to the Reincarnation World to explore the world and find opportunities. Where there were people, there was Jianghu, and there was information flow. Night Sorrow's fame was strong in the Reincarnation World. The name of the strongest monarch had spread throughout the world. The strongest monarch was a matter of some time ago, so the 9 Firmament World Group already knew. However, the battle between Night Sorrow, Mandala Saras, and Bai Te Song had not spread. If it spread, it would be even more shocking. King is too polite. It's nothing. Night Sorrow said. The development of the Tianding Gate in the mysterious sky world is also much smoother now, because the strongest monarch, Night Sorrow, used to cultivate at the Tianding Gate. Tianding King said with a smile. King is wrong. He did not cultivate at the Tianding Gate. Night Sorrow has always been a disciple of the Tianding Gate. This will not change. Night Sorrow said. Tianding King was more careful with his words. Night Sorrow came from the Tianding Gate, but now he was an independent sect. If he insisted that Night Sorrow was a disciple of the Tianding Gate, it would not be too appropriate. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Tianding King felt very assured. He did not care about his own fame and fortune, but the Tianding Gate was built by him. Naturally, he hoped that the Tianding Gate would prosper. Night Sorrow's words were the guarantee that the Tianding Gate would not fall. The Tianding Gate hopes that you will come back often. We can also drink tea together. Tianding King said. Sure. Actually, I came this time for another matter. My wife is pregnant. I came to invite Master and a few elders to drink. King wants to go too. Night Sorrow said. Of course, Tianding King accepted Night Sorrow's invitation. After the invitation, Night Sorrow left behind some resources. King, it is foreseeable that the Tianding Gate will become strong in the future, but the stability of the Heaven Profound world is very important. Tianding King nodded. Night Sorrow was reminding him that he could support the rise of Tianding Gate, but Tianding Gate could not become a mess. After that, Night Sorrow went to Big Dipper City. Big Dipper King was not around. He had gone to the reincarnation Great World. Now, Big Dipper City was under the management of Greed Wolf King. Yishan invited Bei Xing to the city in the sky as a guest. Then, he asked Bei Xing to go to the city in the sky with him. After doing this, Night Sorrow returned to Sky City to accompany his wife. At this moment, Dachura's face was filled with happiness. This was what she wanted the most. After receiving a message from their mother, Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan knew that they were about to have a younger brother and sister. They also returned from the space next to the 9 regions world. Yi Qingyan accompanied the 2 ants every day. 10 months later, Night Sorrow had another son and daughter. Yang Lei's daughter, Yi Xiaolei, and Dachura's son, Yi Xiaoluo. After holding a 1-month-old celebration for his son and daughter, Night Sorrow decided to set off. He did not want to delay the Qing Emperor's matter any longer. That was the responsibility of his disciple. Furthermore, the Qing Emperor's current situation was also related to him. Although they were worried, Dachura and the others still let him go. The White Tiger constellation had a giant-level White Tiger King. It was the King of Giants. However, Night Sorrow did not necessarily have to fight the White Tiger King. As long as it was the blood of a monarch-level White Tiger, it would be enough. The White Tiger constellation was the territory of the White Tigers of the 4 divine beasts. The White Tigers were a race of divine beasts. When an enemy appeared, the entire race would know. At that time, the enemy could be the public enemy of the White Tigers. It was possible that the White Tiger King would appear and kill the enemy. However, before going to the White Tiger constellation, Night Sorrow went to the God-Killing Team's encampment and went to see his brothers. After that, Night Sorrow set off. The White Tiger constellation was located at the periphery of the 3 great worlds. Night Sorrow took several teleportation arrays before arriving at the space closest to the White Tiger territory. Night Sorrow took out a jug of wine and took a sip. Sensing the situation, the White Tiger constellation was relatively far from this space. If the king wanted to enter, it would be very difficult. Unless the space world was in operation, the constellation world would be relatively close to the other space worlds. Putting away the jug of wine, Night Sorrow waved his arm, cutting open the space barrier. His body flashed into the space turbulence, flying towards the White Tiger territory. With the monarch-level space-time willpower protecting his body, the space turbulence's suppression on Night Sorrow was greatly reduced. This made Night Sorrow's consumption greatly reduced. If the consumption was large, the distance of nearly 100,000 li was very difficult to cross. Because the space turbulence far away from the space world was very strong, the resistance was relatively large. Night Sorrow used an hour's time to pass through. Arriving outside the White Tiger territory, Night Sorrow sensed an austere atmosphere. The Western constellation world was the master of killing. The White Tiger was easy to kill. The White Tiger constellation was a world of slaughter. This was also the reason why the White Tiger constellation had always been a forbidden area for countless years. Cultivators that entered would have their strength greatly suppressed. After sensing for a moment, Night Sorrow waved his hand and broke open the space world's barrier. Then, he entered the White Tiger territory. Pressure. Knight Sorrow felt himself receive a very intense suppression. This was a suppression that belonged to the world's aura. Knight Sorrow was somewhat bewildered. He was a body of merit and should not have been suppressed. This is not a suppression specifically aimed at you. The world's origin is of this attribute, a world of slaughter and killing intent. Even speaking of the killing auras of other worlds, they are all infiltrated by the White Tiger territory. The 9 territories' world's origin spoke. Knight Sorrow nodded. Despite being suppressed, he still had 70% of his strength. So long as he did not encounter the White Tiger King, which was only a monarch rank White Tiger, Knight Sorrow still had the confidence to contend. Although he had the combat strength of a war giant, Knight Sorrow was not arrogant. The White Tiger clan was a divine beast clan. They received the favor of heaven and earth, and their speed was extremely fast. Additionally, they had the Western White Tiger kill, which could surpass levels in battle. His current strength was suppressed, and the enemy was stronger than him. This was not a good battle. Stabilizing his mood, he once again sensed the suppressed situation. Knight Sorrow continued to fly. While flying, Knight Sorrow completely released his soul force. However, his soul force was greatly suppressed. The range he could explore was only 3,000 li. The White Tiger clan was very strong, but their numbers were not very many. A world full of killing intent, but it was also a world with very dense spiritual power. Dense spiritual power naturally produced some rare materials. As for materials, Knight Sorrow naturally would not let go of them. While collecting materials, he searched for the White Tiger clan. What Knight Sorrow did not know was that the Shenwu Great World was currently experiencing a catastrophe. Bai Taesong had come out. He was angry that the Fortune Gate had been destroyed, so he vented his anger on the other forces in the Shenwu Great World. First, he went to the nearest Wolf King school and directly killed the Wolf King Heavenly Monarch. After killing the Wolf King Heavenly Monarch, Bai Taesong went to the Zhanwu dynasty. If he did not have to defend himself, Heavenly Monarch God who was not his opponent. With the Inferno Monarch's avatar blocking, Heavenly Monarch God who and the other two managed to escape Bai Taesong's pursuit. This situation made the other war giants tremble. This Bai Taesong was a madman, an uncontrollable madman. On the next chapter, after a few war giants of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion met and discussed, they felt that they had to deal with Bai Taesong, and dealing with him was a difficult problem. Said, second chapter. Thank you Kai Tong, Little Gao, and Brother for unlocking yesterday's chapter. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.